Warrior Lore. Chapter 54, Zuo Shi. Chapter 54, Zuo Shi. In front of the living room, there was a mid-sized garden which contained all sorts of rare plants. There were flowers that bloomed during every season, sending out intoxicating fragrances. Shi Yin walked to the front of the garden and saw Zuo Shi at once, who was crowded by several boys. Among the fresh flowers, Zuo Shi was standing in a beautiful position. Her long, straight legs looked sexy. In the sunlight, her porcelain-like skin was shining elegantly. On her small, delicate face, her two big eyes were as clear as crystals. Although Shi Yin knew Zuo Shi was pretty, he was still amazed after seeing her in person. Zuo Shi was as beautiful as Mu Yu Dai, and she was even taller, with longer and more delicious legs. These youths crowded around Zuo Shi like stars that circled the moon. Zuo Shi was holding a watering can and was leisurely watering the flowers, though there was a sign some helplessness in her eyes. It seemed that she didn't like to be treated like she was special. Shi Yin took a glance at her from afar and turned away. He entered the garden and directly headed towards the living room behind the garden. Shi Yin. A young man's loud shout came, and many youths around Zuo Shi turned their eyes to Shi Yin. Yes, brother? Shi Yin paused, turned and asked, Where have you been these days? I heard you came back months ago, but why didn't I see you? Shi Tianxiao yelled and waved at Shi Yin. Come, Shi Yin. Little Shi has a piece of turtle shell with her, and there are some odd characters on it. Aren't you an expert on these things? Come and help us check. Zuo Shi, who was among these youths, was interested after hearing that. Her lake-like eyes crossed over the 10 meters and settled upon Shi Yin. I'm busy now. Big Grandpa is asking for me. Talk to you later. Shi Yin looked indifferent and refused at once, then walked towards the living room without any hesitation. Shi Tianxiao felt weird and was stunned. He smiled and explained embarrassingly, Shi Yin is bad-tempered, wordless, and not into martial arts at all. All these years he has been running around all over the place. Even I don't know what he was doing. Don't worry, I will get him to read it for you. There was suspicion in Zuo Shi's eyes. She gazed at Shi Yan's disappearing back and asked, He is not interested in martial arts? Then why is his cultivation level even higher than yours? Well, what? Shi Tianxiao was shocked as he hurried to ask, Little Shi, are you serious? I have never seen him train martial arts for 1 second in the last 17 years. Cultivation? Zuo Shi's pretty face showed some surprise too. She asked earnestly after some thought, He has reached the 3rd sky of the nascent level. How couldn't he have trained in martial arts? That old man taught me his, through which I can tell anyone's cultivation. His cultivation is not higher than mine, so my estimation must be correct. The 3rd sky of nascent level. Shi Tianluo, who was standing beside them, shook his head and shouted, No way. It's impossible. For the past 17 years, Shi Yin literally hasn't trained martial arts for even 1 second. How could he reach the 3rd sky of the nascent level in 1 night? Don't be ridiculous. Seeing them unconvinced, Zuo Shi shook her head slightly without further explanation and went to the other side with the watering can. Big Grandpa, what can I do for you? Shi Yin walked into the living room, bowed to Shi Jian, Han Feng, and Zuo Shi one by one, and asked Shi Jian. Shi Jian nodded, stepped up, grabbed Shi Yan's arm and dragged him to the front of Zuo Shi. Brother Zuo, look at him carefully and check how on earth he has his martial spirit. Your Zuo family has collected so many classic books on martial spirits. You must know more about it than me. I can't figure it out. I believe you can. Warrior Lord, Zuo Shi was around 60 years old with white hair along the 2 sides of his forehead. He didn't look arrogant or proud at all, but was extremely learned and refined. He didn't look like a family head from a big family, but rather a teacher at the school. Shi Jian and Zuo Shi had been close friends for many years, and the Shi family and the Zuo family were solid allies. Therefore, Shi Yan's latest news might be still a secret to most Shi family members, but it wouldn't be a secret to Zuo Shi. Zuo Shi frowned slightly as he stretched out one of his skinny dry hands and put it on Shi Yan's wrist. Petrify your body first. Shi Yan did as Zuo Shi asked. Suddenly, thousands of wisps of energy seemed to come out from his wrist like silk. The wisps felt alive as it nimbly floated to every corner of Shi Yan's body, but didn't cause him any pain, despite some itchiness. The wisps passed through his veins, probed his bones, entered his entrails, and moved over every corner of his body, and finally it went back and disappeared at his wrist. Zuo Shi released his hand and frowned deeply. After a long silence, he said, "Nothing strange." Shi Jian was so joyful that he said in haste, "You mean, this boy has a normal martial spirit? And it will also improve in the future?" "Should be." Zuo Shi was in deep thought while his face showed a weird expression. "Brother, is there another martial spirit in his body?" "How do you know?" Shi Jian was too happy to contain himself, and he couldn't help but laugh. "Brother Zuo, you are really something." "Yes, there is another martial spirit in his body which can provide self-recovery." "Haha, I intended to tell you later, but you detected it so soon." A light flashed Zuo Shi's eyes as his mouth trembled. After a long while, he nodded heavily and greeted happily, "Congratulations, brother." "Haha, you too, you too." Shi Jian was delighted as he laughed. "Your little girl is so talented that she has already reached the second sky of the human level. Even that old Shi Shao insisted on teaching her. I bet her accomplishments will be much greater than that boy in the Baiming family." Zuo Shi shook his head with a bitter smile and sighed with fondness. "That girl is really talented, but she is too lazy. She won't train until I force her to. Her cultivation would be much higher if she was as diligent as Baiming Su." Zuo Shi looked a little proud as he mentioned Zuo Shi's talent. "Your girl advances really fast." But Shi Yan advanced to the third sky of the nascent level in a very short time too. He never trained in the past 17 years. To mention this speed, I have never seen anyone who advances faster than him. Shi Jian replied with a smile, raising his head. Another light crossed Zuo Shi's eyes. He looked at Shi Jian and nodded with a smile. "Twin martial spirits are really amazing. The Shi family will definitely win the martial competition this time." "Sure." Shi Jian wasn't modest at all, as he said loudly. "I kept this guy in the gravity room for so long so that he could teach a lesson to the Mo family. Brother, since Shi Yan possesses twin martial spirits, it's understandable that his petrification could directly advance to the second stage." Zuo Shi thought for a while and said, "As far as I know, there is a small possibility that the two martial spirits in one body could change after coming into contact with each other. And that variation is harmful in most cases. The two martial spirits may influence each other in a negative way and decrease their power. But there is a small chance that some twin martial spirits could nourish each other. Shi Yan is lucky. Apparently his twin martial spirits are compatible. Therefore his petrification could directly advance to the second stage when he is still at the nascent level. Yeah, this guy is really blessed. Or he wouldn't have given me such a surprise at the age of 17. Shi Jian nodded with a broad smile. Then the two old men started to talk about other trivial things, seeming to forget that Shi Yan was still beside them. May I go back to the gravity room if there is nothing else I can do?" Being ignored, Shi Yan suggested helplessly. "Well, go. Hurry up. Don't be lazy." Shi Jian urged seriously. "Oh, by the way, you are an expert on ancient characters, right?" Zuo Shi remembered something and added, "Little Shi got a piece of turtle shell which has some ancient characters on it. She wants to know what it says. Please help her read it when you pass by her." "Okay." Chapter 55, The Weirdo. Chapter 55, The Weirdo. In the garden, in front of the living room. Some Shi family boys were fawning over Zuo Shi passionately with modest smiles. Every time Zuo Shi asked about something, they would answer quickly in order to create a good impression of themselves. Some of them were from the branches of the Shi family and some, such as Shi Tianxiao and Shi Tianluo, were from the direct line. Walking slowly among the fresh flowers, Zuo Shi looked a little absent-minded, though her steps didn't falter. She shook the watering can in her hand, bored and detached, like a spirit among the flowers. Shi Yan walked out of the living room, thought for a while, and directly went into the flower garden towards Zuo Shi. He then stretched out his hand and said, "Please show me the turtle shell." "You stupid guy. Now you come to make up to little Shi. Where have you been just now?" Shi Tianxiao grunted in discontent. "Big Grandpa wanted to have a word with me." Shi Yin explained casually. I promised Grandpa's would help Zuo Shi read the shell. We have different intentions. Intentions? What's the difference? Shi Tianxiao was a little embarrassed. Suddenly he covered his nose with his hand and cried, Shi Yin, what is that smell coming from you? A sour smell was wafting out from him. The crowd didn't notice it in the beginning as they were busy fawning over Zuo Shi. As they heard Shi Tianxiao's cry, they finally noticed and quickly covered their noses, complaining that Shi Yin was too shameful. Unexpectedly, the only girl there didn't even take a step back, but stood there carrying the watering can, seemingly not caring about the smell at all. Zuo Shi stared at Shi Yin in surprise, while confusion overtook her mind. Every man, including Shi Tianxiao and Shi Tianluo, would suit up and put some perfume on before they saw Zuo Shi, using flower essence to ensure they didn't leave a bad impression on her. But this boy was too different. His warrior gown was wrinkled and dusty. Apparently, he had been wearing it for a very long time. There was the strong smell coming from him, indicating that he had just finished training his martial arts. This guy obviously doesn't take me seriously. Zuo Shi was stunned and soon drew this conclusion, which triggered her interest in Shi Yin. Seeing the crowd turned off but Zuo Shi still standing there, Shi Yin was a little happy as he asked softly, Where is the turtle shell? It's at the living room. I will get it right away. Zuo Shi replied in a very melodious voice. She then moved her beautiful legs and thin body and disappeared in an instant. The girl moved as fast as lightning. Even Shi Yin could only see her shadow pass by, unable to follow her movement. The crowd, including Shi Tianxiao, were astounded. They realized that not only was Zuo Shi pretty, but also a warrior one realm higher than them. By the time Zuo Shi had returned, the crowd were still drowning in amazement as only 6 seconds had passed. Zuo Shi appeared in front of Shi Yin with a basin-sized turtle shell in her hand and handed it to him. Here you are. Shi Yin nodded and took the shell, only to find his body dragged down by a massive weight, and he almost fell to the ground by the heavy turtle shell. He operated his profound qi and was barely able to stabilize his body. He exclaimed, so heavy. He looked at Zuo Shi in discontent and assumed she was deliberately trying to make a fool out of him. However, he found that Zuo Shi's eyes were crystal clear and devoid of any malicious intentions. Yes, I don't know what this shell is made out of. It's about 400 kilograms. Zuo Shi didn't notice that Shi Yin had secretly cursed her. Instead, she fingered the short hair beside her ears and added, I was surprised when I first got it. 400 kilograms. Shi Tianxiao rubbed his temples and felt his head go numb. Zuo Shi held the turtle shell with one hand and could still move that fast. This made him realize the distance between him and Zuo Shi, and he was a little disappointed. Shi Yin was holding the turtle shell firmly after he recovered, which also improved his understanding of Shi Yin, and he now believed what Zuo Shi had previously said. Shi Yin, you bastard. Though Shi Tianxiao was not a gifted boy, he was clever enough. He realized that Shi Jin had kept this a secret, so he stopped himself before he announced Shi Yan's latest shocking news. Shi Yin remained indifferent. Without replying to Shi Tianxiao, he examined the turtle shell carefully and nodded to Zuo Shi. This is one of the oldest languages, so I need to read it with the help of some books. Follow me to my room. At once, Shi Yin headed to his own house with the turtle shell in his hand. Okay, Zuo Shi nodded and stepped up leisurely. Big brother, are we following them? Shi Tianluo showed a strange face and asked quietly after the two had moved far away. Good idea. Shi Tianxiao couldn't suppress his curiosity. Seeing no one was walking out of the living room, he also followed to Shi Yan's house. Shi Yin lived in a 3-story stone house. The first floor held various trivial stuff, the second floor was for resting, and the third floor was filled with huge bookshelves where Shi Yin kept all sorts of ancient books. After leading Zuo Shi to the house, Shi Yin saw that the crowd had also followed them. He shouted at them from the door, I need quiet. Don't come into my house. Then he closed the door and said to Zuo Shi, let's go upstairs. Zuo Shi nodded obediently and followed him to the second floor. Well, you go up and rest on the third floor for a while. I need to take a shower and change my clothes. I will catch up with you shortly. He handed the turtle shell back to Zuo Shi and pointed at the stairs leading to the third floor. This way? Why shower now? Zuo Shi rolled her eyes at him and grunted with her delicate nose. I want to feel comfortable. It's not out of consideration for you. Don't think too much of yourself, little girl. You think too much. Don't waste my time. Go to the third floor. I'm taking off my clothes. Not bothering to care, Shi Yin took off his warrior's gown and threw it onto the hanger. He was only in his underwear and almost naked. He glanced at Zuo Shi indifferently. Why are you still here? After a long period of intense training, Shi Yin had become much stronger. Every muscle looked shiny and hard, as if molded by iron, emitting a strong sense of masculinity. As Zuo Shi saw him take off his clothes without any shame, she panicked. She cursed, bastard, and quickly took the turtle shell up to the third floor with her face blushing. This guy had some figure, Zuo Shi thought to herself as she was walking upstairs. The third floor covered 200 square meters. Apart from the bookshelves, there were many bizarre jars, bottles, pots, and wine glasses on the expanded third floor. Zuo Shi took out an ancient book randomly, flipped it open, and realized she couldn't read it. Zuo Shi shook her head and thought to herself, what a weirdo. Zuo Shi had various hobbies as well. She studied plants, tea ceremony, astrology, medicine, and weapons, each for a short time. But she was too lazy, so she couldn't focus on one thing for too long. She would switch to a new thing shortly after. These ancient books on the third floor were mostly about ancient history and ancient. Zuo Shi was not interested in them at all, so she found them all boring and difficult to understand. Now she was sure Shi Yin was officially a weirdo. Why are you interested in ancient life? What does it have to do with you? What can you do with it? Zuo Shi curled her lips and thought that Shi Yin was more ignorant and incompetent than her. Chapter 56, Basalt Scriptures and the Dragon Turtle Armor. Chapter 56, Basalt Scriptures and the Dragon Turtle Armor. Zuo Shi strolled around on the third floor, feeling very bored, so she went and stood next to the turtle shell on the ground, waiting for Shi Yin to get back. After half an hour, Shi Yin slowly walked up the stairs. Wearing a light green long garment, he looked fairly handsome. But Zuo Shi only glanced over him once, then retracted her gaze and continued staring at the turtle shell. She spoke, if you're done, then let us take a look at it quickly. I've been waiting for so long. Zuo Shi had seen too many attractive men, and the men of the Zuo family were all good-looking. So Zuo Shi was nearly immune to all the different types of handsome men. Girl, you're used to making people wait for you, aren't you? If you don't try waiting for someone else, how would you know how hard it is? Shi Yin sneered. He didn't rush to approach her, but first he went around the bookshelves, and using the memories deeply rooted in his head, took out a heavy ancient book that was covered with dust, then moved to Zuo Shi's side. Zuo Shi stared in a daze, as she had unexpectedly blanked out due to Shi Yin's words. She nodded lightly and spoke in agreement. You're right. It has always been others waiting for me. I've never waited for anyone. So this is how it feels to wait for someone. Why is it that those people waited so long for me, yet they never made a fuss, and still talk to me with a face full of smiles? That's because they're low, Shi Yin commented bluntly. Huh? Zuo Shi chuckled, her bright eyes scanning Shi Yin, and she spoke while smiling. You're so wicked. So how are they low? I think you shouldn't be named Zuo Shi. You should instead be called Zuo Xin. Why? From where I come from, they name children based on what they lack. Like how the name Zhao Xin means lacking wealth and Wang Miao means lacking water. So you should be called Zuo Xin. You lack wits. Asshole. So you're not stupid? Shi Yin said indifferently. If you weren't so slow-witted, how could you not know what they were thinking? They wanted to flatter you, so of course they wouldn't show any discontent. All men, before they obtain a wonderful thing, act incredibly low. After they obtain it, they become even lower. Are you talking about yourself? Zuo Shi's eyes brightened, and she smilingly as she looked at him. Cough, cough. I said normal men are like that, but I'm an exception. Shi Yin shamelessly stated, then crouched down, moving closer to the piece of turtle shell on the ground. With one hand, he quickly flipped through the pages of the thick, ancient book. Whenever he flipped to a certain page, he would pause, his finger pointing to a specific ancient character. On the back of the basin-sized turtle shell, aside from the complex old moire pattern, was actually 8 lip-sized ancient characters. Those 8 ancient characters didn't seem to look like they were forcefully carved on. Instead, they looked like they were naturally formed by the moire patterns on the turtle shell. It was extraordinarily magical. The 8 ancient characters were arranged in 2 lines, and each character was about the same size, and gave off a cold feeling when touched. Shi Yin felt the surface of each character with his left hand, his right hand constantly flipping through the ancient book in his hand. Sometimes he wrinkled his eyebrows in thought, other times, his eyes would brighten and a smile would appear at the corner of his lips, as if he came to an understanding. He engrossed himself in deciphering the ancient characters on the turtle shell. As focused as he was, it seemed as if he didn't notice there was a beautiful young girl nearby. Zuo Shi's dainty figure knelt down, her delicate face pointed towards him, constantly paying attention to the changes in expression on Shi Yan's face. It was to say, when Shi Yin was deeply concentrating on something, he displayed the unique charms of a man. Zuo Shi somewhat admired this kind of concentrated dedication, and she nodded silently in her mind, thinking, although he has a big attitude and rants a lot, when working on things, he's pretty serious about it. Rustle, rustle. In the silent room, there was only the sound of Shi Yin rapidly flipping through his book. Zuo Shi had quietly kneeled down next to him, not interrupting. After a long while, Shi Yin suddenly shut the book in his hand, and with a serious face he said, "Done? What do these 8 characters mean?" Zuo Shi's eyes brightened, and she asked delightedly, "Dragon turtle armor. Basalt scriptures." Shi Yin shouted with a deep voice. "Hey," Zuo Shi whispered, pointing at the turtle shell, and spoke in surprise. "The turtle shell is glowing because of your voice." Shi Yin was surprised, and hurriedly looked down. The meticulous moire pattern on the turtle shell was indeed releasing a faint green glow. It was as if the 8 ancient characters were brought to life, slowly shifting on the turtle shell, reforming altogether. Staring, both Zuo Shi and Shi Yin were stunned. The 8 ancient characters, after shifting for a while, formed a hand-shaped indent. On the turtle shell, there was a light green glow that was swirling, and strange continuous pulses escaped from the turtle shell. The air in the room seemed to be attracted to the turtle shell, as it quickly flowed into the shell, making it hard for Shi Yin and Zuo Shi to breathe. "Zuo Shi, I'll stay right here. You go into the living room right now and call both of our grandpas over. Now." Shi Yin was dazed for a moment, then shouted, "Okay." Zuo Shi was also stunned by the change to the turtle shell, so she didn't dare to hesitate. Her tall figure shook for a second, and she disappeared from Shi Yan's view. Shi Yan's expression was serious, his eyes steadily fixed upon the turtle shell. After staring at the turtle shell for a while, Shi Yan's heart skipped a beat. Suddenly realizing the strange conditions of the turtle shell was as if it wanted someone to put their hand in. As soon as the thoughts surfaced in his mind, Shi Yin could not resist, and wanted to place his hand onto the turtle shell. Yet, right after his hand reached out, he realized what he was doing. "No, this turtle shell belongs to Zuo Shi. I shouldn't be the one to do it." Thinking this, Shi Yin stopped, took a deep breath, and he made himself take a few steps away from the turtle shell, waiting patiently. After a short moment, Zuo Shi, Zuo Su, and Shi Jian rushed to the room, and the 3 surrounded the turtle shell, watching the continuously shifting turtle shell. "So this is what happened." Shi Yin explained the situation briefly, and then said, "The handprint that's shown on the turtle shell should be the key to opening it. Just place your hand onto it, and you should be able to find out the secret of the turtle shell. Since it was little Shi who brought it, I'm not going to mess with it." Could it be dangerous? Zuo Su wondered aloud. At this moment, he was a little unsure of what to do. "I don't know." Shi Yin shook his head, and he hesitated for a second, then stated his thoughts. "The reason why I called you guys over was because I don't know whether it's dangerous or not. Since you're all here, even if the turtle shell turns out to be dangerous, you'll be able to stop it. So you're saying that we can give it a try?" Zuo Shi's eyes brightened. Dragon turtle armor and basalt scriptures were obviously connected to secret treasures and martial skills, so no wonder they grabbed Zuo Shi's interest. Of course we can give it a try. Shi Yin smirked and said lightly, Grandpa Zuo, if you're worried about Xiao Shi, I can do it for her. How's that? I'll do it. Zuo Shi heard what Shi Yin said, and without asking for Zuo Shi's opinion, held out her glistening hand and pressed it into the deep indent on the turtle shell. Boom! A low, exploding sound came from the inside of the turtle shell. 5 thin needles shot out and embedded themselves into Zuo Shi's 5 fingers that were placed into the indent. Bright red blood immediately dripped out of Zuo Shi's fingers. Like rubies, the blood rolled around in the indent as if it was solid, and was finally absorbed by the turtle shell. Bright green light suddenly burst out from the turtle shell, and the blazing green light was blinding to everyone's eyes. Strange ancient symbols formed by the green light suddenly flew out, went along Zuo Shi's arm, and it flew straight into her head. Chapter 57, In My Hands. Chapter 57, In My Hands. In the stone tower. Zuo Shi and Shi Jin looked serious. Their eyes glistened in the light, as they stared intensely at Zuo Shi, who was pressing one hand on the turtle shell. As the head of the Zuo family, Zuo Shi actually felt excited. His fingers kept clenching together, and the corner of his lips occasionally twitched. Zuo Shi was the future hope for the Zuo family. Whether the Zuo family could rise to power in the future, and whether they could hold their status in the business league, was directly connected to how strong Zuo Shi became. If Zuo Shi were to become strong, the Zuo family would keep their powerful influence. If she was weak, the Zuo family might decline. There were countless families whose rise and falls were tied to an important figure. A family had to have a powerful central figure in order to keep their remarkable position. The reason why Bai Mingxiang put Yin Kuei and Zhou Shan close to Bai Mingsu's side was to prevent any mishaps that may happen to Bai Mingsu before he became powerful. Their main objective was the future prosperity of the family. Shi Yin looked indifferent, and at this moment, he was secretly observing Zuo Shi's reaction. Through the slight change in Zuo Shi's expression, he realized that Zuo Shi really did see Zuo Shi as the most important treasure of the Zuo family. He also realized just how much importance a future strong figure holds to these elders. A strange green symbol flew out of the turtle shell and disappeared into Zuo Shi's body. Zuo Shi's eyes were now closed, and there was a thin layer of green light covering her delicate face. Tiny little spots of light jumped across Zuo Shi's face, like lively fireflies, passing their thoughts to Zuo Shi. Zuo Shi's expression changed and nearly exclaimed out loud. He instinctively wanted to step forward and protect Zuo Shi, afraid that she might be in danger. Stop! Shi Yin stepped forward suddenly and held back Zuo Shi, and spoke lightly, It's okay, Grandpa Zuo. You shouldn't be too tense. Zuo Shi stared for a second, then looked at Shi Yin in surprise. Are you sure it's okay? Yes, nothing will happen to her. Shi Yin nodded with certainty. The little strange lights in the turtle shell should be a type of memory communication. If I guessed correctly, it could be the way to cultivate the basalt scriptures, so you don't need to worry, this is just a memory transfer. When Shi Yin obtained from the blood vein ring, the scenery was quite similar. At that time, there was also many memory lights flowing out of the blood vein ring, drilling into his mind, forming the memory imprint in his head. After having that experience, and looking at Zuo Shi now, his heart settled down. Brat, don't speak nonsense, this is very serious. Shi Jin shouted with a straight face. Shi Jin was also unsure. He was scared that Shi Yan's careless plans might cause harm to Zuo Shi. If that happens, the Shi family and the Zuo family could turn against each other. Ever since the Zuo family was connected to Qi Xiao because of Zuo Shi, they secretly began to have what it takes to compete with the Baiming family. To the Shi family, having such a strong ally could only be to their benefit, no matter if it's against the Baiming family or the Mo family. Shi Jin doesn't want to become enemies with the Zuo family. It's okay. Little Shi will definitely be fine. You can relax, Shi Yin said, and comforted Zuo Shi. Congratulations, Grandpa Zuo. This time Zuo Shi will surely gain a great benefit. You can get ready to giggle. You brat. After hearing his words, Zuo Shi actually loosened up and he laughed. If it really turns out to be like what you said, I'll owe you a big favor, little brat. Grandpa, you really do owe him a big favor. Zuo Shi suddenly opened her eyes and smiled. Joyfully she said, those strange lights are the cultivation info of the... Now in my mind, I've obtained the complete cultivation method of the... What level of martial skill? Zuo Shi impatiently asked. He was so excited he could jump. Shaking her head, Zuo Shi said, I don't know. All I got was the cultivation method of the... and it didn't say which level of martial skill it is. The writings on the turtle shell are very ancient. This should be a martial skill cultivated by prehistoric warriors. At that same time, their skills were not as meticulously ranked as ours are. Shi smiled and casually explained, but the martial skills of that time are much more mysterious than the ones we have now. This time Xiao Shi really got lucky. Haha. Zuo Shi laughed, delightfully patted Shi's shoulder, and said, you little brat, I can't help but like you. The Shi family has such a clever boy as you. Why worry about rising to power in the future? Shi Jin's eyes brightened. He glanced over at Zuo Shi. Thinking of something, his face brightened up into a smile. Crack, crack, crack. Once Zuo Shi removed her hand from the turtle shell, it cracked open, separating into pieces of turtle armor. These turtle armor pieces turned very thin and shone with a strange green light. One of the pieces showed the shape of a dragon head, and another piece had the shape of a dragon tail. They looked like a pair of shoulder armor and were very strange. In the middle of the armor, there were 3 walnut-sized medicinal pills, shining with green light. These pills had a silly dragon turtle shape, with a dragon's head and turtle's body, as if it was alive. A refreshing medicinal aroma spread from the 3 pills. The scent was very strong. Just by breathing in a little bit, everyone suddenly felt alert. These 3 are the dragon turtle pill, especially made to go with the cultivation of the... This set of armor is the dragon turtle armor. Supposedly it has very strong defense abilities. Zuo Shi reached to pick up the 3 dragon turtle pills and pocketed all of them, and said, when cultivating I will need the dragon turtle pills. 3 of these are just enough to help me cultivate this skill. Zuo Shi's expression brightened even more, and he clapped and laughed in excitement. It was Shi Jin who actually felt slightly low-spirited. He saw Zuo Shi taking all of the dragon turtle pills, pressing his lips into a line. He finally couldn't help but murmur, Shi helped too. He can have the dragon turtle armor. Zuo Shi lightly kicked the set of armor on the ground. Adorably, she furrowed her brows and chuckled. I don't want to wear this heavy-ass turtle shell. Take it as you please. Shi Jin jolted and impatiently stared at Shi, urging him to take the dragon turtle armor. Is it okay to do that? Everything is a full set. Zuo Shi clenched his teeth, looking reluctant. Although he liked Shi, he still didn't want to give away the dragon turtle armor. Shi stood still and shook his head. I don't want it. The Shi family's martial spirit specializes in defense. I don't need to suffer with this heavy set of turtle armor. You. Shi Jin was upset. He stomped and shouted, ungrateful. You don't want it, but can't you give it to someone else? Stupid. Shi Jin cursed in his mind. Boy, I like you. Zuo Shi laughed and wiggled his eyebrows at Shi Jin. It's not that I'm unwilling to give it up, but Shi Jin himself rejected the offer. Now you can't blame me for this, he said, and immediately picked up the pieces of turtle shell, his smile becoming even wider. Grandpa, if you were to wear this dragon turtle armor, I bet you would look like a big old turtle. Do you want to try it on? Zuo Shi chuckled. Yes, the girl is right, Brother Zuo. Why not try it on? Shi Jin said with great pleasure, and secretly felt delighted. Disrespectful. You brat, what kind of nonsense are you talking about? Zuo Shi's face turned dark. He glared at Zuo Shi. If you keep bullshitting like that, next time I'm not going to pick you up from Cloud Mountain, and you can die from boredom at Qi Zhao's place. I won't do it again. Zuo Shi stuck out her tongue and chickened out. Cough, cough, brother. All right then, we should get going. Zuo Shi smilingly looked at Shi Jin and said, don't worry, people from our family are going to keep watch by the dark forest. If there's any news on Karu, I'll send people to tell you. Same thing with you guys. Communicate with us once something comes up. Of course, sigh. I can't believe a figure as little as Master Karoo can steal the treasure map of Musun. Now Misty Pavilion has another piece. Whoever is able to get both pieces of the map would be able to open the gate of heaven with no difficulty. It's really unfortunate. Shi Jin's expression was full of lament. Master Karoo? Shi Yin furrowed his brows and whispered. He thought for a second, then asked, that Karoo guy, was he a level 5 mortality alchemist? You know about Master Karoo? Zuo Shi was curious. Is he important? Shi Yin didn't answer the question and asked in response. He's not important. However, the treasure map indicating the gate of heaven that's on him is extremely important. Zuo Shi said. I killed him a long time ago, and that treasure map, just happens to be in my hands. What? Zuo Shi, Shi Jin, and Zuo Shi all opened their eyes wide. Simultaneously they exclaimed out loud. Chapter 58, The Plot. Chapter 58, The Plot. In the gravity room. From the bag at the corner, Shi Yin took out a yellowish broken picture and handed it to Shi Jin. Here, this is it. Shi Jin, Zuo Shi and Zuo Shi all looked at him with faces full of suspicion. Shi Jin took that broken picture and started to scan it carefully when his eyes gradually lighten up. Good. This picture doesn't look fake. It is quite old, as some of the patterns on it have already blurred. Let me have a look. Zuo Shi was a little hasty, as he quickly took the broken picture. After touching it, he cried, It can't be fake. We have the same paper in the Zuo family which is made of the soft skin from the belly of a demon beast from remote ages. It's fire, water, and wear-proof, basically indestructible. Tell me in detail about what happened between you and Karoo, and how many people know about this. Shi Jin looked rigid as he took a deep breath, but he couldn't hide the happiness in his eyes. You, Weirdo, are really strange. Zuo Shi's beautiful eyes were also focused on Shi Yin. She was becoming more interested in him. Well, this is the thing. Shi Yin noticed the seriousness of it after seeing Shi Jin and Zuo Shi's reaction. Therefore, he quickly explained how he got that picture and how he escaped from the ancient cave. So the Mo family knows about it too? Zuo Shi's face changed. After a pause, he sneered. No wonder the people from the Mo family are still lingering in Silent Town. They must be searching for you. The Mo family. Shi Jin grunted and said angrily, Thank goodness Shi Yin is fine. If he was hurt by them, I would destroy Mo too, even by sacrificing myself. The Mo family has done too many evil things. They are going to look down upon the Shi family if we don't teach them a lesson soon. Mu Yu Dai and Di Yalan were taken away by Baiming Su, and they don't know who you are? Deliberating for a while, Zuo Shi asked again. No matter if it is Mu Yu Dai, Di Yalan, or the people from the Mo family, no one knows who I am. I told the two girls that my name was Ding Yin. Good boy. Cautious enough, or it would be very tough. Zuo Shi complimented. Now that we got this half of the picture, we should get the other half. Shi Jin said firmly to Zuo Shi, Brother Zuo, we can take the risk. Once we got the other half of the picture from the Misty Pavilion, we two families can open the Sky Gate and enter the God area to search for treasures. Narrowing his eyes, which were blinking brightly, Zuo Shi sank deep into thought. He then said, There are many experts in the Misty Pavilion. We have to make a good plan if we want to grab the picture from them. He added after a pause, I will write a letter right away to Qi Xiao and let an eagle take it to Cloud Mountain. Qi Xiao is at the Sky Realm. We will be safer if he is here with us. After all, that old man Baiming Shang is eager for the picture too, and was already planning on getting it. Great. We have larger chance of winning if Qi Xiao attends too. Shi Jin was joyful. Qi Xiao was Zuo Shi's teacher, and close to the Zuo family. As a Sky Realm warrior, he could help a lot once he came to Tianyun City and allied with the two families. Zuo Shi didn't fear that Qi Xiao would keep the secret of the Sky Gate to himself. Though there were many treasures in the God area, this was also accompanied with incredible dangers. The journey would be much more secure if a Sky Realm warrior was with them. The most important thing was, Qi Xiao was an individual. However greedy he was, he couldn't possess everything in the God area. On the contrary, A big family like the Biming family would take all the advantages. Kid, you'd better not attend this year's martial competition, Zuo Shi said after some deliberation. If the Mo family recognizes your face, they would know that we already have half of the picture. Once the other half in the Misty Pavilion is stolen, they will know it was us. Then our two families would be assaulted by everybody. Well, this, Shi Jian hesitated. But at last he nodded helplessly. For the Sky Gate's sake, we have to do this. Not exactly. He can attend the martial competition once he changes his appearance. No one from the Mo family has seen him before. Just change his face. Who would know that he was the boy who killed Karu? Zuo Shi suggested with a big smile, blinking her eyes. Hey, good idea. Shi Jian's eyes blinked. After examining Shi Yan for a while, he said, his appearance has changed a lot in the past few months, and the people from the Mo family won't identify him if we put a little makeup to him. And you better take action during the martial competition. Han Zhong said the Misty Pavilion will also send some people to the competition. During the competition, if you send some experts with Qi Xiao to the Misty Pavilion to steal the picture, you may not be suspected. Shi Yan thought for a while, and also uttered his opinion. We can take action in the middle of the martial competition. Zuo Shi mumbled something and then replied loudly, sounds great. Let's do it during the martial competition. We will also be present then, and no one will know it was us who robbed the Misty Pavilion. Once Qi Xiao helps us, we will have an 80% possibility of getting the other half of that picture. Will Qi Xiao help us? Shi Jian was not sure. Don't worry. He definitely will. That old guy is very interested in the Sky Gate. Thus he will come right away from Cloud Mountain as soon as he gets the news. Zuo Shi didn't worry at all. I know him too well. He is more curious than anyone about unknown things. Then it's fixed. Shi Jian was assured. He then took the picture back from Zuo Shi and put it into his own pocket happily. Brother Zuo, it's time for you to go back and make preparations. I'll be waiting for Qi Xiao to get the other half and come to complete mine. Ha 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 ha. Great. Zuo Shi nodded with satisfaction. He pulled Zuo Shi. Let's go. We should plan on it. Let me keep the picture. You should do nothing but training. I will find someone tomorrow to come and change your appearance. You should beat the Mo descendants hard. Shi Jian yelled. Okay. In the Mo family, Mo Tuo was strolling around the Thunder Palace with a rigid face. Beside him stood Mo Chaoga and Mo Yinyu. Mo Yinyu's pretty face was full of bitterness. So was Mo Chaoga, as he lowered his head. Why can't we find him? Are you so useless? You can't even find a boy who has no background. We have so many people in every city. Do they only know how to waste our resources? Mo Tuo berated loudly. He pointed at Mo Chaoga and Mo Yinyu and yelled furiously, You too. You have made so much trouble over such a small task. You are more like 2 rice buckets. Father, I've sent people to search, and our people in Silent Town never took a single day off. But the merchant union is too vast. Who knows where that boy is gone? I did my best. Useless. All useless. Mo Tuo cursed loudly for about 10 minutes, before finally tiring, and he sighed helplessly. Seems I have to pay a visit to the Biming family in person. Father, will we not receive anything if Biming Shang knows about it? Do you have any better ideas? Mo Tu looked so gloomy that he could swallow a monster. Do you think I want to? If you hadn't let that guy escape, I wouldn't need to visit Biming Shang. Only Mu Yu Dai knows who that young boy who killed Karu is. Only her. And only she may know where that boy is now. Do you think I would need to do this if you weren't so useless? Crap. Father, sorry, I was wrong. Mo Chaoga pleaded miserably. Then he turned and stared at Mo Yinyu hard. If you can't win the martial competition, your father can't help you either. Mo Yinyu nodded hastily with her face full of fear. In the Biming family, at the center of an artificial lake, there was a medium-sized island covered with bamboo houses. In the garden of one of the bamboo houses, Mu Yu Dai was sitting, feeling soft breeze on her skin and focusing her nimble fingers on the zither. The melodious zither melody rippled out slowly, attracting the birds on the clear lake, which gathered in the garden and forgot to leave. Dialan was in the training field of another garden. With a long sword in her hand which was splashing fire, she was training with a certain martial skill. Her hot figure was sending out intoxicating charisma in the sunlight. At the bank of the lake, every passing warrior would stop and stare, gazing at the island with eager eyes and a captured face. "Sister Lawn, how is this fire cloud sword?" After a piece of music, Muyu Dai approached Diyalan with a big smile. The Biming family is known for its expertise in making weapons. Even in our fire empire, no one is better at it than the Biming family. The fire cloud sword is a mystery-level weapon, which can really help me release all of my strength when accompanied with the fire cloud formula. More specifically, it can bear the fire from my blue magic flame. It's really good. Diyalan nodded. Apparently, she was very satisfied with her new weapon. "So, are you still regretting coming with me?" Alas, Diyalan shook her head, and an image appeared in her mind again. She barely smiled. "It's useless to say these things now. I'm afraid I won't see him again in this life. For revenge, for our family's prosperity, I have to do this. It's just can't. Can't let it go." "Yeah, sometimes, I miss him too." Muyu Dai let out a rare sigh as well. "I feel that I owe him. But what could we do? We are only two girls who have lost their family and are saddled with a heavy mission. We have to be realistic and choose a powerful party, or we will spend our whole life as a commoner and live a boring life." "He is not common at all. Sometimes I feel he is more horrifying than Biming Su. He won't be any worse off than others if he has the opportunity. Unluckily, God didn't give him an opportunity. If he wants to succeed, he needs to advance step by step since he doesn't have a big family supporting him. We can't wait for too long." "I know. That's why I'm here with you, and not with him." "Miss Mu, the family head has invited you and Miss Diyalan to the ice pavilion. It is an important talk." At the center of lake, a warrior was standing on a boat and shouting at the island. "Okay," Muyu Dai replied, as she frowned in puzzlement. "Why does he ask for us? We never made an appearance since we arrived at the Biming family. This unexpected invitation is very strange. He is going to talk about your marriage with Biming Su?" Diyalan assumed. "I won't marry Biming Su if they don't help me get my revenge." Muyu Dai humphed coldly. "I came to the Biming family for their ability to help in my revenge. I feel nothing for Biming Su at all. Even if I fall in love with him in the future, I will leave sooner or later." Humph. Chapter 59. The Situation Surges. Chapter 59. The Situation Surges. Biming Family. Ice Pavilion. The ice pavilion was made of snow ice stones which were naturally gelid stones. Even on a hot summer day, it would still be radiating freezing cold energy. The ice pavilion was made up of 9 levels, each as tall as Tinjiang, overflowing with freezing air. It looked like a frigid ice mountain. This was where Biming Shang usually trained at. The Biming family's polar ice flame martial spirit was cold in nature. Cultivating in an ice pavilion made of snow ice stones was incredibly beneficial to the Biming family's polar ice flame martial spirit. Usually, unless tempering himself with a secret treasure, Biming Shang would never leave the ice pavilion. Everyone who wished to meet the Biming family head had to endure the cold energy of the ice pavilion in order to see him. Biming Shang would never take into account the feelings of others. He would only make others accommodate him. As you go up levels in the ice pavilion, the cold energy gets worse. Even when the ordinary sons of the Biming family come to visit, they would only wait at the 3rd or 4th level. If they kept going up, it would be too much for their body to handle. Level 6 of the ice pavilion. In the middle of the erect ice pillars sat the hulking Biming Shang. His body was shrouded by lingering cold energy. On the ice pillars of the 6th level, strange ice flames were burning bright, making the freezing energy even more chilling to the bones. Mo Tuoff furrowed his eyebrows and stood across from Biming Shang. Next to him was the handsome Biming Su. In Kue and Jiosan were like 2 ghastly shadows, sitting behind 2 ice pillars. They lowered their heads, as if already asleep. Led by one of the warriors in the ice pavilion, Muyu Dai and Diyalan entered the 6th level of the ice pavilion. The cold energy of this level had twice the strength of the 5th level. The two girls took one step into the 6th level, and their delicate bodies shook, as if stepping into an ice pit, while their limbs began to slowly stiffen. "You're here." Baiming Su stepped forward and shot a meaningful glance at Mu Yu Dai. "This is my grandpa, and this is the head of the Mo family." Mu Yu Dai and Di Yalan's faces simultaneously changed. The two of them looked at Mo Tuo as their expressions became stiff as stone. The death of Luo Hao and Hu Long was described very clearly. Aside from the intervention of Bernard and the Crescent emissaries of the Dark World, there were also strikes of lightning from the sky. Afterwards, the two girls had seen Imo Chowga. They knew that Imo Chowga definitely had something to do with Luo Hao's death. Unfortunately, the Imo family held a great amount of power in the Merchant Union, and they also had connections with the Baiming family. When Baiming Su simply shouted at Imo Chowga to go away, he clearly didn't want to get into a difficult situation with the Imo family, and he had no intention of speaking out for the girls. Now they suddenly encountered the head of the Imo family with the Baiming family. Mu Yu Dai and Di Yalan felt displeased. However, in front of Baiming Shang, there was nothing they could really do, so they only sulked in secrecy. "Nice to see you, Grandpa Shang." Together, Mu Yu Dai and Di Yalan bowed to Baiming Shang, purposely ignoring Imo Tuo. Imo Tuo looked as usual, with a slight smile on his lips, as if he didn't mind the disregard at all. "I heard the two of you were in the dark forest. You stayed with some boy for a while? I want to discuss certain things about this boy. Would you happen to know his background?" Baiming Shang lightly nodded, his long, thin eyes expressionless, and asked straight to the point. Mu Yu Dai's heart shuddered. She hesitated, then said, "Only an insignificant little warrior. How did Grandpa Shang come to know about such a person?" "He has something I want." Baiming Shang furrowed his eyebrows and said, "Do you know where he comes from?" Shaking her head, Mu Yu Dai responded, "I don't know. We met him along the road. We only traveled together because we were afraid of the beasts killing people. As for this person's background, I have no idea. All I know is that his name is Ding Yin. I think he's some ordinary warrior from the Merchant Union." Ding Yin, Baiming Shang nodded, then paused for a moment and said, "Do you know which city he is from, or which region he goes around?" "I don't know." Mu Yu Dai shook her head again. Baiming Shang suddenly became silent. After a moment, he spoke faintly. "Okay, there's nothing else. In some time, the martial competition is going to be held. You two and Su should go and watch. If you stay here all the time, I think you all will get bored. Your grandpa and I had some friendship back in the day, and now that he's gone, of course I will take care of you. Don't worry, the people of the Dark World can't touch you here in the Merchant Union." "Thank you, Grandpa Shang." Mu Yu Dai's eyes moistened, her voice sobbing lightly. "Whenever I think of what happened to our family, I want to burn those people alive. Hundreds of people in the Mu family, all slaughtered in one night. Grandpa Shang, you have to help me." "You can't rush such things. We'll talk about it later." Baiming Shang nodded, waving his hand as he said, "You can go rest. This level is too cold. With your capability, it will be too hard to bear."
Yes.
Without further ado, Mu Yu Dai bowed and lightly pulled on Di Yalan's clothes. The two exited together. Could that girl have hidden the truth? After the girls left, Mo Tua spoke with furrowed brows. With only a name, it would be very difficult to search. "Su, what do you think?" Baiming Shang looked at Baiming Su. "Doesn't look like she's lying. I can keep asking her some other time. Since the other fragment is still at Misty Pavilion, we don't need to rush," Baiming Su responded. Baiming Shang nodded and said, "Okay, you keep an eye on those two girls. Remember, don't get manipulated. I don't want you to become someone else's weapon. Do you understand?" "I know, Grandpa." Baiming Su smiled. "Brother Mo, you don't need to be so anxious. I'll notify the Shi and Zwa families and let them both look for Ding Yin. Don't worry, I'll use my name to search for him. You won't get involved." Baiming Shang said unyieldingly, "Together with the 5 great families of the Merchant Union, I do not believe that we can't find a mere commoner. Humph. Remember, send someone to bring that brat's portrait. As long as he still lives, there's no way he can hide." "Okay, then I will leave now." Mo Tuan nodded and left without any further ado. "Su, keep an eye on Zuo Shi from the Zwa family. Now that she has connections with Qi Xiao, if you can take Zuo Shi as your wife, it will be much less troublesome for us. After Mo Tua left, Bai Ming Shang glanced over at Bai Ming Su and said, "That girl's natural gifts are quite extraordinary, and she's also Zuo Su's little sweetheart, quite a capricious one. If you can rein her in, that old man Zuo Su won't be able to do a thing. They'll be bound to the Bai Ming family." "No need to worry, one at a time," Bai Ming Su said with confidence. Nodding, Bai Ming Su continued, "That Mu Yu Dai girl is also quite talented, but although her musical martial spirit is strong, it's not of much assistance to the polar ice flame martial spirit of our Bai Ming family. However, that Dialan has the blue martial flame martial spirit. It could be complementary to our family's martial spirit. So you have to keep a close watch on that girl, and if you can, bond with her. She might be able to give birth to an outstanding offspring of our Bai Ming family." "Don't worry, Grandpa. The things I have my eye on can never escape from me. All right, since they entered into our Bai Ming family, they can't even think about leaving." The Zuo family. Zuo Su was in his room, leisurely drinking tea. Behind him, a dark shadow suddenly knelt down and reported, "Bai Ming Shang sent a messenger. He requested us to find a boy named Ding Yin, saying that he stole something from the Bai Ming family, and they will give us 5 mystery-level weapons for the boy." 5 mystery-level weapons. Zuo Su took a sip of tea and smiled. Bai Ming Shang is as stingy as usual. Using 5 mystery-level weapons, he wants to get the other half of the map to the Gate of Heaven. He's sure playing it well. "Master, what should we do?" "Search for him, of course. Let our people spread the word in some cities, but don't put too much effort into it. Just finding some random dude named Ding Yin will do, just so that guy doesn't get suspicious." "Understood." The Shi family. Shi Jian received the same message. He held the envelope and sneered, "So Mo Tua has found Bai Ming Shang. Humph. Luckily that little brat Shi Yin told me the truth, or else I'd be in the dark about this too. Bai Ming Shang, oh Bai Ming Shang, you would never believe that Ding Yin is Shi Yin. Asking me to search him out, hee, then I'll sure help him look." "How?" Han Feng said faintly. "Find a few people connected to the Mo family, make them mute. Just say that they're all called Ding Yin and send them to the Bai Ming family." "Yes." The Bai Ming, Zuo, Mo, Shi, and Ling families, as the merchant union's 5 great families, started to both openly and secretly search for a guy named Ding Yin in the nearby cities. In a short time, the name Ding Yin quickly became widespread. Many of those named Ding Yin were doomed, all taken by the 5 families. And many who were not named Ding Yin but were related to the Mo family also encountered unexpected calamities. They were beaten and crippled, forcibly muted, and escorted to the Bai Ming family. Since the martial competition was about to start, the warriors in the merchant union had been grinding their fists, and those warriors from far away were traveling thousands of miles to come to the martial competition. What was funny was that a lot of these warriors who came, because their name was Ding Yin, were immediately taken by the 5 families. After one night, Ding Yin became the street villain, and everyone wanted to beat him up. And the person who started all of this, Shi Yin, had been staying in the Shi family's heavy weight room, jabbing his hand into a metal sandbag tens of thousands of times a day. Poochie. Shi Yin jabbed his 5 fingers straight in, arm deep, into the center of the metal sandbag. He pulled out his arm, and those 5 fingers actually glinted with strange, chilly light, as if they were blades made of steel, which was very frightening. The martial competition is about to start, and the storm from the Misty Pavilion is coming. Mai is finally having some success. Chapter 60, The Endless Sea. Chapter 60, The Endless Sea. At the Misty Pavilion. The Misty Pavilion was a mysterious power which primarily held auctions, selling all sorts of rare training materials for warriors. It had opened its only shop in Tianyun City in the Merchant Union. It was rumored that the Misty Pavilion was supported by warriors from the Endless Sea. The Endless Sea, a vast ocean, was located to the east of the Merchant Union. There were thousands of islands in the Endless Sea, which were scattered like stars. Some large islands were even vaster than the Fire Empire and the God-blessed Empire combined. Warriors from the Endless Sea rarely came to the Grace mainland, for they looked for higher things. There were numerous experts there, and they all had a powerful family or power behind them. It was said that there were even expert warriors who were above the spirit realm. On that day, at the entrance of the Misty Pavilion, stood the manager. Ku Luo was a warrior of the first sky of the Nirvana realm and had been in charge of the Misty Pavilion for many years. For many people, Ku Luo was the master of the Misty Pavilion. But today, Ku Luo was standing with several important members of the Misty Pavilion, seeming to wait for someone important. Time passed. It was dusk. Though Ku Luo had waited for a whole day, he didn't show any impatience on his face. "Father, how long do we have to wait? Who are we waiting for?" Ku Luo's only son Ku Ban grunted in discontent. "This guy is too pretentious. He is making us wait for so long." "Kid, you were born in the merchant union, so you have no idea how big the world is. Don't think that the Baiming family is the biggest family on the mainland. Compared to the prominent families in the Endless Sea, the Baiming family is nothing." Ku Luo stared at his son and said coldly, "I am from the Endless Sea, and it was the Xia family who sent me here to take charge of the Misty Pavilion. The person we are waiting for is Xia Xinyan of the Xia family. She is my master. If it weren't for the fragmented map of the Sky Gate, she wouldn't even spend her precious time visiting us from thousands of miles away." "Father, aren't we at the center of the Grace mainland?" Ku Ban was stunned. After a long while, he asked in surprise, "Here? The center of the Grace mainland?" Ku Luo sneered as he shook his head. "The Fire Empire, the God-blessed Empire, and the Merchant Union are on the outskirts of the Grace mainland. How would they be at the center of it? Remember, the Grace mainland is far more vast than what you imagined. Well, the so-called experts here are merely considered low-level warriors outside this country." "What?" Ku Ban couldn't believe what he heard. As the sun faded gradually, the moon climbed up the dark sky. Under the bright moonlight, Ku Ban was still waiting patiently. At midnight, 3 shadows appeared from the long street. Under the red lanterns on the roadside, the 3 shadows looked like hideous ghosts, swaying spookily. "Here they are. Listen. Don't utter a single word," Ku Luo announced in a low voice. The person in the lead was a slim woman wrapped up by a black gown and a broad bamboo hat, so her face could not be seen. Beside that woman were 2 giant men who were about 2 meters tall and looked exactly the same. They were twins. The 2 huge tower-like men had dark skin and a masculine aura, but they moved really fast, giving the impression that they weighed nothing. "Miss, you have finally arrived." Ku Luo bowed and said respectfully, "Ku Luo has been waiting for you for a long time. Let's get inside first." A melodious voice came from under the bamboo hat. That woman didn't waste one more word, as her slim body passed Ku Luo and directly headed inside the Misty Pavilion. It looked like she could be the master wherever she was. "Yes, Mississippi." Ku Luo nodded with a smile, then he followed her at her pace, feeling relieved. In the inner garden of the Misty Pavilion, in a quiet room, the women in the black gowns sat down on the seat at the center of the room, which was prepared for the master. After the 2 huge men found their positions to stand behind her, she waved her hands. "Ku Luo stays here. Everyone else is dismissed." "Leave us alone," Ku Luo announced to those men loudly, and specially stared at his son, Ku Ban. Ku Luo was the manager of the Misty Pavilion, so after his announcement, they quickly left the room. Ku Luo entered and gave a salute to the woman, then quickly took out an account book from his chest pocket, handing it to the woman with 2 hands. "This is the accounts for the past 10-some years. Miss, please check." "Well, put it away. I haven't come for the accounts." Then she leisurely waved her hand and took off the bamboo hat. An extremely beautiful face appeared. She frowned with her pretty eyebrows and said softly, "Show me the fragmented map."
Yes.
Ku Luo immediately took out the fragmented map of the Sky Gate from underneath his clothes and handed it to her respectfully. Xia Xinyan picked the map with her jade-like fingers, glanced at it once, and nodded softly. "Good. From its old look it seems to be authentic. Miss, there are also 3 nutrition pills and 1 blood magical crystal. which were sent by the immortal Yang family through empty strategy. They said it's for you. Ku Luo took out those things mentioned before and handed them respectfully to Xia Xinyan. Miss, it's enough for you to handle the situation here with the 3 nutrition pills. You will be heavily hurt every time you operate the incarnation martial spirit, but with these, you will be fine. Well, the Yang family is literally generous and pretentious. Xia grunted. The Misty Pavilion doesn't belong to the Xia family exclusively. The Yang family is also a heavy stockholder. They don't even send a man here but 3 nutrition pills? Haha, they trust me so much. As she spoke, Xia Xinyan put away the 3 red Longan-sized nutrition pills. Stroking the blood magical crystal, she asked, and what about this blood magical crystal? The Yang family has requested you to look for a person. The family head of the Yang family, Yang Qingdi, said his grandson Yang Hai is still alive in this place, as he perceived through the skill. So he has asked you to find him. The 3 nutrition pills are payment. Ku Luo lowered his head as he answered in a low voice, not daring to look at her. What? Xia Xinyan exclaimed in indignation, and she said coldly, Hee, I wondered why they were so generous. They want me to do this difficult thing for them for 3 nutrition pills? Too bossy. Ku Luo kept his head lowered, not daring to say anything. Miss, 50 years ago, Yang Qingdi and his experts entered the 4th demon area, where his son, Yang Xiao, died in a battle. Moreover, Yang Xiao's wife gave birth to an infant there. After Yang Qingdi killed a demon king in the 4th demon area, the other 3 demon kings allied to chase him out, and his daughter-in-law died soon after. Yang Qingdi assumed he was about to die, so he broke the space with skill and threw that infant out of the 4th demon area. One of the huge men explained with his rusty voice. And then, Xia Xinyan frowned slightly and asked nonchalantly. That huge man paused, thought for a while, and continued. After he threw out that infant, Yang Qingdi stayed in the 4th demon area for another 20 years, encircled by the other 3 demon kings. But luckily he escaped and came out of the 4th demon area alive, though he was badly hurt. Recently, Yang Qingdi finished his secret training and came out as a spirit realm warrior. He had saved 1 drop of blood from the infant when he threw him out of the 4th demon area, so he perceived through skill that his grandson is in the merchant union. That's why he sent the 3 nutrition pills as the payment. He cares about the Yang descendant. The 3 demon kings in the 4th demon area seem to have a big plan recently, so I guess Yang Qingdi has been too busy to search for the infant in person, the other huge man added. Yes, they sent a message that one of the 3 Shura kings, Xiao Hani, had already set off from the Immortal Island with 50 Shura escorts. They will arrive in at most 1 month, and hope that you could find the infant before they arrive. Ku Luo said slowly with deference. Shura king, Xiao Hani. 50 Shura escorts. Xia Xinyan sneered. Seems like Yang Qingdi really cares about that infant. The Yang family is so domineering in the Endless Sea, thus they offended a lot of people. For the past few years, they were busy fighting with the 4th demon area and lost a lot of descendants who possessed the immortal martial spirit. That infant is Yang Qingdi's direct grandson left by Yang Xiao. Sure enough, he takes it to heart. One of the huge men responded. Ku Luo, from now on, I will take charge of the Misty Pavilion, and you will go look for his grandson discreetly. The Shura King, Xiao Hani, is coming. I can't take the 3 nutrition pills if we can't find Yang Hai before he arrives. You understand? Xia Xinyan looked at Ku Luo indifferently. Yes, I got it. Ku Luo nodded. I will keep the blood magical crystal. After you find all those men called Yang Hai, bring them to the Misty Pavilion, and then with Yang Qingdi's blood magical crystal, we will know who is the Yang Hai we want. Xia Xinyan said with an indifferent face as she stroked the blood magical crystal. Okay, I will go right away. Ku Luo bowed and left, while sighing to himself bitterly, the 5 big families are looking for Ding Yin, and I have to go look for Yang Hai. It's so boisterous in the merchant union. Chapter 61. Leaders of the 3rd Generation. Chapter 61. Leaders of the 3rd Generation. The merchant union was becoming quite lively. The 5 families were still trying to find a guy named Ding Yin, when the Misty Pavilion also stepped in, searching everywhere for someone named Yang Hai. But the Misty Pavilion was not as outrageous in their search. They adopted the bribing method. As long as you can prove that your name is Yang Hai, you can come to the Misty Pavilion to receive 1,000 purple crystal coins. Since the martial competition was about to be held, there was an endless stream of people in the Merchant Union. Although the actions of the 5 families and the Misty Pavilion confused many, most people still came for the martial competition. Quickly, the restaurants and inns of Tianyun City were packed. The warriors and mercenaries that come from the Dark Forest, Dead Swamp, and Cloud Mountain were all hardened fighters. Even in Tianyun City they were restless, often causing conflicts and killing each other. Be it day or night, there were more than enough fighting warriors in Tianyun City. Every morning, the cleaning staff would often find new corpses in the ditches. 3 more days remained until the martial competition. Early in the morning, Zuo Shi was resting with his eyes closed when he heard Zuo Shi speaking outside. "Huh, old man, you came? How many times did I tell you? Don't call me old man in front of others." From outside came Qi Zhao's frustrated voice. "You are just a little old man. It's an old habit. I can't change it." Zuo Shi wasn't afraid of him as she laughed outside the doors. Zuo Shi was suddenly excited as he suddenly stood up and rushed out to greet the guest. "You're finally here," he thought. The Shi family. In the heavy weights room stood a wrinkled old crone. She held a paintbrush and was putting a few heavy marks on Shi Yan's brows. Shi Yan stood in silence, carefully watching the old crone's actions. After a long while, the crone took back her hand. She stared closely at Shi Yan for a while, and then nodded in satisfaction. "During my visit every day, I have been changing his appearance slightly each time. Even those who are close to him wouldn't notice such slow changes. His appearance now is much different from how it was a month ago, and nobody would be able to recognize him." Shi Yan's skin was a lot darker now, his brows thick, and his figure looked quite a bit sturdier. From how he had looked before, he now looked less fierce and more rugged. Whether it be appearance or temperament, there was a significant change. Especially after coming back from the Dark Forest, he had grown taller and became more robust. Plus, he got fixed up by the disguise artist. Compared with the time when he was in the Dark Forest, he truly looked like another person. Shi Yan stared at Shi Yan for a moment, then nodded and said, "Good, there should be no problem." Shi Yan observed himself in the mirror and was also quite satisfied. "All right, isn't the martial competition starting?" 3 more days, so you don't need to train hard these 3 days. Just relax a little bit." Shi Yan finally let go, but suddenly he thought of something, and then rebuked with a straight face. "Relaxing does not mean fooling around. Don't think for a moment that I don't know what you and Han Zhong did together. If you waste your energy on women, I'll skin you alive." "Stop nagging." Shi Yan looked annoyed and said, "I'll go take a shower, then go drink a little with Han Zhong. Is that okay with you?" "Okay." Spring Pavilion. This was a very well-known restaurant in Tianyun City. Here not only was the food delicious, but they had the famous flame wine that was popular throughout the Merchant Union. Aside from that, the Spring Pavilion was also close to the Moon Lake. Sitting in the open 3rd floor of the Spring Pavilion, eating delicacies, drinking fine wine, and enjoying the beautiful view was a great pleasure in life. If you could hold a beauty in your arms at the same time, then that would be called perfection. However, not just anyone can get to the 3rd floor of the Spring Pavilion. Even if you were rich enough, without status, you'd only be allowed up to the 2nd floor. The 3rd floor of the Spring Pavilion was usually reserved for guests from the 5 families. Only those from the 5 families could head straight to 3rd floor when they came in. Normal merchants would not have such an honor. Han Zhong led Shi Yan to the Spring Pavilion. After they arrived, a cute receptionist immediately came over smiling. "Mr. Han, please step upstairs." Han Zhong squinted as his eyes circled the girl and complimented. "Xiao Feng, your thing got a lot bigger." Then he stopped and lasciviously stared at the girl's breasts. "You're the worst, Mr. Han, always staring at that place." The girl smiled shyly, having a style of her own. She pointed up and said, "There are other guests up there. They are the young masters and mistresses of the Mo and Ling families." Mr. Han, you should be prepared. No worries. Han Zhong smiled and stopped teasing the girl. He grabbed Shi Yin and brought him straight up the third floor. Hey! A tall lad wearing a Navy warrior outfit sat at a good seat on the third floor and squinted at Han Zhong and sneered. Here I was thinking, who could it be? And it's the Shi family's dog. That seat faces right towards the moon lake. There sat 4 people, 2 men and 2 women, all looking quite attractive. One of the group looked aloof and arrogant, and that was Imo Yinyu. But she wasn't looking this way. Her motionless eyes was only staring into the sun-blazed moon lake, and looked like she was in a daze. Oh, so these are the worms of the Imo family. How fucking unlucky. Han Zhong shook his head, stopped paying attention to them, and dragged Shi Yin to find a good spot. He yelled, Mr. Long, bring 4 jugs of flame, and a nice course of dishes, hurry up. Coming right up. A hearty voice answered from the second floor. At this time, Imo Yinyu, who was staring at the moon lake, looked like she finally woke up. She turned her head around and glanced at Han Zhong and Shi Yin. She threw a look of disdain, then turned her head back and continued staring at the lake water. Nobody knew what she was thinking. Across from Imo Yinyu sat a handsome young man. The young man had an amiable smile. While talking to one young master of the Imo family, he was also secretly paying attention to Imo Yinyu, as if trying to grab her attention with his words. However, he was unsuccessful. Xiao Feng, Xiao Yu was recently punished by my father. She's been in a bad mood lately, don't mind her? Imo Zhan toasted him, and then said, don't care about him, let us drink more. The martial competition is about to start, so these few days we can slack off a bit, treat yourself well. Brother Zhan, when have you mistreated yourself? Ling Yu shrewdly looked at Imo Zhan, with a cunning smile on her face. I heard that Brother Zhan is great at going to those pleasure quarters. When would you enrich me a little on your experience? Cough, cough, cough. Imo Zhan choked on his wine and said awkwardly, Yu, trust me, I'm innocent. I'm not familiar with those places. That was the only time I went was because I was tricked, Yu. You have to trust me. Who knows if you're lying or not? Ling Yu was still smiling, but her eyes showed some other expression. A while ago, I was praised by my sisters. They said my fiancé already has dozens of mistresses before marrying me. They said I would have so many maids to serve me in the future. Oh, just thinking of it makes me happy. Cough, cough, cough. Imo Zhan's expression was a little stiff. His face darkened and said, Who is talking bad about me behind my back? If I find out who it is, I will skin him alive. All right, Yu. Ling Xiaofeng glared at his sister. Brother Zhan is a man. Sometimes treating people with courtesy is inevitable. I trust Brother Zhan's conduct. Of course you'd trust him. Ling Yu lightly snorted and murmured quietly. Everyone knows that you guys always go there together. Of course you would trust him. Upon hearing this, Imo Yinyu glanced over at Ling Xiaofeng, and her brows slightly furrowed, as if she was irritated. However, she didn't say much, and again turned her head towards Moon Lake, her expression growing colder. I'll deal with you when we get home. Ling Xiaofeng glared at Ling Yu as he anxiously changed the topic and said to Imo Zhan, Brother Zhan, that Shi Tianyun is also in the third sky of the nascent realm. He's even better than Shi Tianka, and I heard he has been training very hard lately. At the last martial competition, he didn't show up, but this time he'll definitely be there. Even though you won against Shi Tianka that time, you shouldn't let down your guard this time around. Don't worry, those guys from the 3rd generation of the Shi family can't be placed in my eyes. Imo Zhan smiled with arrogance, coldly glancing over to where Han Zhong was, and said, Just watch. This year's martial competition, I'll cripple whoever comes in my way. Yeah, sure enough, Brother Zhan has the heroic spirit. Ling Xiaofeng laughed. He held up his cup and said, Come on, Brother Zhan, cheers. Those 4 over there are Ling Xiaofeng, Ling Yu, Imo Zhan, and Imo Yinyu. They are all the leaders of the 3rd generations of the Imo and Ling families, and they might become your opponents in the martial competition. Among them, Ling Xiaofeng and Imo Yinyu are engaged, and that Imo Zhan and Ling Yu are also engaged. Imo Zhan and Ling Xiaofeng are both at the 3rd sky of the nascent realm. Imo Yinyu is slightly worse, but still has a cultivation of the second sky of the nascent realm. Han Zhong lowered his voice and explained the situation to Shi Yin. He paused and then said, "But the one you should least underestimate is that Ling Yu. We got the news a while ago that this girl broke through to the human realm half a year ago, and now she's the strongest one in the third generation of the Ling family. This year's martial competition, the Ling family might arrange to have Ling Yu fight against Zuo Shi. Apparently, to make Ling Yu win, the Ling family have spent a hell lot on her, not only buying the most expensive medicines, but they also gave her a few secret treasures to defend herself. Zuo Shi might be in a lot of trouble this time." "Not necessarily." Shi Yin smiled, casually glancing at Ling Yu, and spoke in a low voice. "Zuo Shi is much more fierce than she is. Just watch, she's going to lose really badly." Zuo Shi had now obtained the dragon turtle pills and plus the dragon turtle armor, which Han Zhong did not know about. With all these things to rely on, Zuo Shi had a 9 out of 10 chance of winning, and besides, Zuo Shi's realm was a little higher than Ling Yu's. "That kid, what are you talking about?" At this moment, Ling Yu suddenly stood up and sneered. "Are you saying that I'm not as good as Zuo Shi? You think I didn't hear that? I'm telling you, my hearing is clear as ever. Talking about people behind their backs, people from the Shi family. Are you all this dirty?" Shi Yin looked indifferent as he opened a jar of wine by himself, filled his wine cup, and drank it up at once. He began to eat, not paying any attention to Emo Zhan, who was still standing beside him. "Young Master Emo, it's not the first time you've been to the Spring Pavilion. I'm always good to you. Please, don't make a fuss, okay?" Manager Long bowed as he persuaded Emo Zhan with a miserable face. "Well, Manager Long, for you, I won't fight today." While drinking, Shi Yin was also listening to Bai Ming Su and Mu Yu Dai chatting, and got a little annoyed. So he yelled at Han Zhong, "Old Han, I'm done. You?" Long ago, Han Zhong knew he was unhappy, so he stood up immediately and said to Bai Ming Su, "Young Master Su, we gotta go." "Okay." Bai Ming Su responded indifferently without raising his head and continued to talk with Mu Yu Dai. "Let's leave." Han Zhong pulled Shi Yin, then they walked toward the stairs. Before he went downstairs, Shi Yin paused at the corner, glanced over at Mu Yu Dai and Di Yalan coldly, and then disappeared. Bai Ming Su didn't feel that glance as he sat with his back to Shi Yin. Neither did Mu Yu Dai, for she was talking with Bai Ming Su. Only Di Yalan raised her head randomly and happened to see Shi Yin's glance. Out of it, she saw some familiar coldness and scorn. Di Yalan was surprised and dumbstruck. After a very long time, she shook her head softly and sighed to herself. "Why am I so stupid? How could that guy be him? Except the eyes, they resemble by nothing. They were two different people. What am I thinking about? What's wrong with me?" Chapter 63, The Martial Competition. Chapter 63, The Martial Competition. Tianyun City, the Godstone Square. A small hill-sized, diamond-shaped meteorite stood tall in the Godstone Square. More than half of the meteorite was sunk deep into the ground, and the part that was visible was hundreds of meters tall, making it look very magnificent. Legends say that this was a piece of the meteorite that fell from the sky thousands of years ago. It crashed right here, where at the time there was no Tianyun City, but merely a piece of wasteland. It was said that after the meteorite fell from the sky, in the beginning, every night under the glistening moonlight, the meteorite would emit a bright silver light. Later on, this silver light started to dim day by day, and in the last 10 years, the meteorite has never shone, appearing just like a normal rock. The people of the Merchant Union treated this meteorite as a godstone and established Tianyun City around it. It has been many years since then, and now Tianyun City has become a big city in the center of the Merchant Union. However, even though the meteorite stopped shining in silver brilliance, for the warriors of the Merchant Union, it was a blessing from God, and thus the meteorite was zealously treated as a godstone. The Godstone Square was also built from that meteorite. In the Merchant Union, many couples would come to the Godstone Square and make their vows, with the Godstone as a holy witness to their love. Every martial competition in the Merchant Union was held in the Godstone Square. On this day in the Godstone Square, there was an endless stream of crowds. Outside the square there were countless vendors, many of whom were warriors selling mostly items that were associated with cultivation. In the Godstone Square, in front of that enormous meteorite were 16 battle arenas. Each one was about 100 square meters and was made out of solid green iron. Even warriors in the human realm wouldn't be able to break it using all their strength. Around these 16 battle arenas stood 5 tall stone towers. One of the towers was 50 meters tall, while the other 4 were 40 meters tall. These 5 towers were equally spaced 100 meters apart in distance, and on those towers stood the people from the 5 families, who were able to view all 16 arenas below. On one of the stone towers, Shi Yin stood next to Shi Jian, condescendingly looking down upon all the participants around the Godstone Square who came to compete in the martial competition. This stone tower belonged to the Shi family, which was 40 meters tall. The other 4 were for the Baiming, Ling, Zuo, and Mo families. The stone towers belonging to the Ling, Zuo, and Mo families were also 40 meters tall, just like that of the Shi family. However, the Baiming family was an exception. Their tower was 50 meters high, a whole lot taller than the other 4 families' towers. Just from the height of the stone towers, it could be seen that the Baiming family held an absolutely strong position in the Merchant Union. This was the first day of the martial competition. The direct descendants of the Shi family, Shi Jian, Shi Tai, and Shi Dang, were all on the stone tower by this time. The Han brothers, Han Feng and Han Zhong, were also in the stone tower, plus a few other strangers that Shi Yin didn't know. Through Han Zhong's introductions, Shi Yin learned that those were the loyal subordinates of the Shi family. They usually worked in the city, but were called here because of the martial competition. However, Yang Hai was not in the stone tower, and that was because Yang Hai did not practice martial arts. When the martial art masters of the other cities were called here, Yang Hai had to go and take charge in case any problems come up while the martial competition was being held. Every year's martial competition was separated into 5 categories: elementary, nascent, human, disaster, and earth. However, in the category of Earth Realm there would usually only be one figurehead. Usually, even the warriors who were unaffiliated to any power, when they managed to reach the Earth Realm, they would have certainly gained their own cultivation opportunities. It was unlikely for them to covet the prizes given by the 5 families. An Earth Realm warrior, whether in the Merchant Union, the Fire Empire, or the God-blessed Empire, would be considered a master. Such warriors wouldn't need to compete in the martial competition to obtain a nice cultivation environment. They can just go to any powerful force to become a dedicated warrior. Even if an Earth Realm warrior didn't join any power, the major forces would still reach out their arm, hoping to recruit the warrior. Because of this, even though the martial competition set a competing category for Earth Realm warriors, but the warriors that actually came to participate were nearly non-existent. Even the warriors who reached the disaster realm would rarely come to the martial competition. Every year, there would only be a few warriors that would show up. The ones who really came for the martial competition were mostly at the elementary, nascent, or human realms. These 3 kinds of warriors with lower capabilities were the majority, as they often couldn't find their own cultivation opportunities. Therefore, they would have to participate in the martial competition in the hope to win some precious cultivation materials, or to obtain a nice position in one of the 5 families. The martial competition usually lasted for 5 days. The first 4 days were generally for the warriors who came for the prizes. These people would be watched by the 5 families. Throughout the 4 days of fighting, the families would choose their favorite warriors and reach out to them. The last day, however, would be the highlight of the martial competition. On this day, the 5 families would send their best dedicated warriors and descendants to go compete with the masters of the other families. The 5 families would test each other's power on the last day of the martial competition. This day was also the day when the 5 families would show their strength to others. And on this day, the fighting was often accompanied with the enormous conflicts of interests and profits, and earth-shaking gambles would often happen. Mines, commercial streets, treasures, and even bizarre martial skills could become the stakes of the 5 families. Just one martial competition could lead to one family gaining the most extravagant riches and could also reduce a family's savings to nothing. The last day of the competition would become a topic that people would talk about for years to come. This day, the masters from the different families would expose their true capabilities, showing rare martial spirits. Also in the intense fighting, different secret treasures might also show up. Most warriors who came from the outside were also here for the last day of the martial competition. From the fights on last day of the martial competition, they could find out the difference between them and the warriors of the 5 families. Through watching the fierce battles, they could understand their own inadequacies and find the ways to improve their standards and capabilities. And they might even be able to raise their own strength through the battles from the martial competition. This was why the martial competition attracted so many people. Shi Yin stood on the stone tower serenely, condescendingly looking down upon the arenas and the many warriors who came to participate. 200 meters away on the tower of the Baiming family, 2 beautiful figures followed Baiming Su up the high tower. On the high tower, Mu Yu Dai and Di Yalan stood side by side with Baiming Su. Together they were looking over all of the arenas. Mu Yu Dai wore a white dress, her hair flying in the wind. On the tall tower, her beautiful posture made her look like a fairy on the mainland. Di Yalan was still in that crimson armor. Her hot body was visible underneath the coverage of that armor, made her figure look very seductive. Only her eyes looked troubled. From 200 meters away, Shi Yin slightly raised his head and shot a glance at the 2 girls, secretly smiling in disdain. Kid, these 4 days you better carefully watch. You lack experience, so you need to watch how the others fight. Don't just mess around. As Shi Yin caught him staring at the 2 girls on the Baiming family's tower, he snorted as he became displeased. Women are everywhere. And with what you have, what woman can't you get in the future? Don't get distracted before you become strong. Yes, I know what I'm doing. Shi Yin nodded. Brother, Crow from the Misty Pavilion has come to see you. Shi Tai, who stood near the staircase entrance of the stone tower, suddenly shouted. Crow. Surprise flashed across Shi Jin's face. He blanked out for a second, but then nodded. Invite him up? Grandpa, how's the situation at the Misty Pavilion? Shi Yin lowered his voice and secretly asked. Shi Jin slightly nodded and said, You shouldn't care much about this. Don't mention it next time, understand? Okay. Looking at his expression, Shi Yin knew that Zuo Shi and him must have sorted out all the details. But as Han Feng and all the dedicated warriors were on the tower, Shi Yin was confused as to whether the Shi family sent anyone to help Qi Shao at the Misty Pavilion or not. Crow came up with a smile as he calmly walked next to Shi Jin and said, Head of the Shi family, I have come to request help from you. I'm wondering where your son Yang Hai is right now. I want to invite him to the Misty Pavilion. Is that all right? Yang Hai. Shi Jin's expression darkened as he snorted, but said in confusion, The Misty Pavilion has been trying to find people named Yang Hai everywhere. What are you trying to do? A friend of mine has come from the Endless Sea. Her older relative lost an infant a very long time ago. The infant is called Yang Hai, and so they requested me to look around for him. Thus I ask for your help, Master Shi. Shi Jin's heart skipped a beat and his eyes flashed with a strange, unknown expression. After quite a while, he finally shook his head and responded, Yang Hai is not in Tianyan City right now, because I called many people back for the martial competition. Yang Hai has been taking charge in another city. We'll talk about this some other time. Sure. As long as you'd remember, Master Shi. Crow didn't urge deliberately and smiled. When he comes back, please allow him to come to the Misty Pavilion. Master Shi. Haha. Don't worry. I won't let him run all this way for nothing. Okay. Shi Jin indifferently nodded. Then I will take my leave. Crow didn't stay for long, and after the issues were negotiated, he left straight away. Melodious and soothing music came from the tower of the Baiming family. The heartwarming sound of nature immediately rang throughout every corner of Godstone Square. Mu Yu Dai sat cross-legged on the stone tower of the Baiming family, absorbed in playing the zither. Many warriors who came to the martial competition were attracted by this ethereal music, and their expression was full of fascination as they looked up at the Baiming family's stone tower. Next to Mu Dai was Bai Su, his expression full of pride, and the corner of his lips showed a trace disdain for all living things. He stood there and accepted the admiring and envious gazes from the many warriors. Mu Dai's music was like a mountain stream, flowing into the hearts of the warriors as if cleansing their souls. Just with one song, the warriors were mesmerized, their faces stunned. Then at this moment, Bai Mingxiang suddenly flew from the tall tower. His magnificent figure magically floated on the sky above the god stone square, like a god looking down on all human beings. He shouted, "The martial competition officially starts." Walking in midair, Sky Realm Warrior. Many warriors screamed out one by one, their expression in awe, shocked by the capabilities shown by Bai Mingxiang. Chapter 64, The Medicine King, Mu Sun. Chapter 64, The Medicine King, Mu Sun. In the martial competition field, dozens of warriors of various realms were competing vigorously in different areas. Streams of bizarre light exploded on the field one after another, as if magical snakes were shuttling above the competition field. The participants were performing all sorts of rare martial skills, and some even startled those people from the 5 big families. In the high building of the Shi family, standing next to Shi Jian, Shi Yan's eyes were glistening as he cast his eyes upon those fighting warriors one by one. As the head of the family, Shi Jian was standing beside him and explaining for him. As long as Shi Yan showed some interest in one competition area, Shi Jian would soon elaborate on the strength of the two parties, their martial skill levels, their competing strategies, and also teaching him the best way to win the fight. In the stone building, Shi Tai was also illustrating the situation on the competition field, explaining the various martial skills, their advantages and disadvantages, the opponent's weaknesses, and how to beat them. As the leaders of the Shi family, Shi Jian and Shi Tai rarely talked on a normal day, but today they almost never stopped talking. Shi Yang and Shi Tianxiao were also standing in a corner, while Shi Yang was pointing the warriors in the competition field to Shi Tianxiao, the latter nodding and asking accordingly. Some ministers who came back from other cities, and those experts from their family branches, were all observing the stone building quietly. As they saw Shi Jian explaining to Shi Yan wholeheartedly, they were very confused. Old Feng, who is that kid? Why does family head treat him so specially? Standing beside Han Feng, Ku Long observed them for a long while, and finally couldn't help but ask him about Shi Yan. Ku Long was one of the ministers of the Shi family who was at the first sky of the Nirvana realm. Since he was garrisoned in another city, he didn't know much about the latest news on Shi Yan. Seeing Shi Jian lay so much stress on Shi Yan, he was quite confused. That is young Master Yan. Han Feng looked indifferent as he glanced at Ku Long and said, the one who used to be always absent from home and busy studying those historic relics. Yeah, Yang Hai and Miss Qing's son. That's impossible. Ku Long was totally shocked as he asked in surprise, that young master never trained in martial arts, did he? As far as I know, he was more attracted to those odd things and never set his eyes upon martial arts. Why would the family head pay attention to him? Young Master Yin is no longer the person he used to be. Han Feng narrowed his eyes and said casually, you'd better try your best if young Master Yin asks you to do something. It would in your best interests. Though Han Feng knew a lot, he talked little. He wouldn't have said anything if Ku Long wasn't his good friend. Ku Long knew Han Feng's personality. He was surprised at Han Feng's speech, and after a long silence, he nodded softly. He was still confused, but realizing that Shi Yin was favored by the family head, he decided to try and get close to Shi Yin. Apart from Ku Long, many other ministers and Shi branch families were also secretly discussing about Shi Yin, as they were all confused why the family head paid so much attention to that unknown boy. Soon Shi Yin was known to all. This boy, who hadn't been treated specially for 17 years, was now at the center of the Shi family. Grandpa, did Xiao Yin become a warrior for real? And has he reached the third sky of the nascent realm? Seeing Shi Jin favor Shi Yin so much, Shi Tianka, who was standing next to Shi Tai, finally asked. Shi Tai took a glimpse at them and nodded. It is great. Shi Yin is amazing. He has reached the third sky of the nascent realm now. He may participate in the martial competition this year. Shi Tai had been focusing on his 3 grandsons recently, so he didn't pay much attention to Shi Yin. He merely knew that Shi Yin had gained the family martial spirit and reached the 3rd sky of the nascent realm. However, he didn't know that Shi Yin had also gained the immortal martial spirit, so he still considered that Shi Jin was putting way too much energy into him. But he didn't place any further thought into it. After all, Shi Yin was his brother's direct grandson, and Shi Tianxiao was useless. Now that Shi Yin reached the 3rd sky of the nascent realm, he thought it was reasonable for Shi Jin to be overexcited. He was not aware that Shi Yin possessed twin martial spirits, and that his petrification martial spirit had advanced to the 2nd stage. Tianyun, you should fight against Emojan this year. Last time Tinka lost to him, so your fight will be crucial this time. Or they would assume that we don't have any talented descendants among the 3rd generation. Shi Tai said to Shi Tianyun, who was standing beside him. Yes, I will beat Emojan for sure, Shi Tianyun said with certainty. Shi Tianyun was only 19 years old, but he had reached the 3rd sky of the nascent realm. He was just like a newborn calf who wasn't afraid of a tiger. Before Shi Yin was noticed, he was the pride of the Shi family, and Shi Jin would guide him in person now and then. But ever since Shi Yin came back, Shi Jin seldom visited him. Shi Yin spent 17 years discovering ancient languages and seldom stayed at home. He didn't train in martial arts, so there was no conflict between him and other people, thus Shi Tianyun never cared about him. However, Shi Yin stood out now, and Shi Jin's attitude had shifted too much, which made Shi Tianyun a little uncomfortable. Yet, the Shi family had the formidable outside opponents, such as the Mo family and the Ling family, so the Shi family members, including Shi Jin and Shi Tai, stuck together and got along well. The 2nd generation also allied to defend against the Mo family. Shi Tianyun and Shi Tianxiao often played around. Thus, although Shi Tianyun was a little uncomfortable, he didn't show a strong reaction. But he had made up his mind to have a perfect performance in the competition and secure his position as the hope of the Shi family. Shi Jin suddenly cried as he was talking to Shi Yin, and his eyes brightened and quickly looked over to someone. Something had suddenly occurred beside the competition field. Who came? Shi Yin frowned, walked up and looked in the direction of Shi Jin. A troop of 7 people were walking in slowly from outside the Godstone Square. The man in lead looked around 50, with a hawk nose, gloomy face, delicate cap, and a silver gown, on the left shoulder of which was embroidered 5 types of herbs. Level 5 Soul Alchemist. Shi Yin identified him only by a quick glimpse. Just like martial skills, alchemists were divided into 5 levels: mortality, mystery, soul, royalty, and divinity. Karu, who was killed by Shi Yin in the Dark Forest, was a mere mortality-level alchemist, but was treasured by the Mo family. Now that a soul-level alchemist had appeared, he must be an influential one. This is Karu's teacher, the Medicine King Mu Sun. Shi Jin glanced over Shi Yin. He is not only an alchemist of the soul level, he is also a warrior of the 2nd sky of the Nirvana realm, and the Medicine Valley is a special institution too. Though it doesn't get involved in fights between various parties, it is closely connected to them. The fact that Karu was killed by Shi Yin was known to only a few people, and now that Shi Yin had faked his appearance, fewer people knew his real identity. Shi Jin didn't worry that Mu Sun would recognize Shi Yin, so he sneered and gloated. Well, I guess Mu Sun came to look for his stolen fragmented map, and Karu entered the dark forest with people from the Mo family. Mu Sun will definitely ask Mo Tua about that. Haha, this should be an interesting show. The Medicine King, Mu Sun. The warriors in the competition field soon recognized this foreign visitor, as they cried out in surprise and cleared the way for him. Many other warriors squeezed their way forward and shouted crazily, "Medicine King, I collected lots of herbs. Please refine me a pill. Please." As soon as the flock heard that, the competition field boiled with excitement. More and more people shouted, asking for Mu Sun's help. People's attention were drawn to Mu Sun at once, and no one set their eyes on the competition field anymore. On the buildings of the Baiming family, the Zuo family, the Ling family, and the Mo family, many couldn't sit still anymore. Lots of experts rushed down the buildings with their master's permission and ran to Mu Sun to invite him to watch the competition in their building. Without Shi Jin's permission, Shi Tai also rushed down. Suddenly, the Medicine King Mu Sun was crowded by the core members from the 5 big families, whose faces were full of smiles, hoping Mu Sun would go with them. Mu Sun will go to the Mo family. Hee. But nothing good will happen. Shi Jin gloated. Just as expected. Ignoring Mo Chaoga, who was coming up to invite him, Mu Sun soon walked toward the Mo family building silently, with a rigid face. Mo Chaoga didn't dare be angry and followed him smiling and bowing. Chapter 65, Undercurrent. Chapter 65, Undercurrent. Mo family head, how is my despicable disciple Karu? After walking up the Mo family stone tower, Mu Sun asked directly. His voice was not loud, but everyone in the God's Stone Square heard him clearly. Standing on the stone tower of the Mo family, Mo Tuo was in total dismay. Being bluntly questioned in public by Mu Sun, Mo Tuo was embarrassed. He wanted to deal with him in private, but apparently Mu Sun was having different thoughts. Being pushed hard, Mo Tuo had to reply loudly, Mr. Mu, Karu died long time ago. I also don't know who killed him. Mu Sun stood proudly against the railing of the stone tower, and thus his figure could be easily seen once the warriors at the bottom of the tower raised their heads. Dead? Mu Sun sneered and said sarcastically, Mo family head really has his methods. Knowing that my despicable student stole my treasure map, you invited him to visit the merchant union and killed him halfway, and so you got the map. Now you pretend to know nothing. What a family head you are. Well, did you earn all the Mo family properties this way? Haha, the whole merchant union knows Mo family head's methods. On the tower of the Shi family, Shi Jin laughed loudly and gloated. Many of the Shi family properties were snatched under the Mo family head's tactics. Shi Jin. 200 meters away. Mo Tuo stared at Shi Jin angrily. This is none of your Shi family's business. Stop spouting nonsense. Ignoring him, Shi Jin continued, Of course it's none of our business. I was just stating the truth. Don't be overly emotional, Mo family head. Standing aside Shi Jin, Shi Yin smiled secretly, and for the first time, he felt this old man was interesting and knew how to strike a man when he was down. Not being able to do anything about Shi Jin or be mad at him, Mo Tuo could only smile to Mu Sun modestly and explained, I didn't know Karu had stolen your treasure map when we invited him to our home. And considering he is your student, we sent people to pick him up. We really didn't know that. Mr. Mu, don't blame the Mo family. Mistake? Mu Sun's face turned gloomier, and he sneered. Your Mo family would have sent people to pick him up if you hadn't known that he stole my treasure map? The Medicine Valley is thousands of miles away from the Merchant Union. Who would believe that you traveled so far just for Karu's second-rate refining skill, but not for the treasure map? Humph. Mo Tuo was helpless, as he explained. Well, it was for his skill. Mo family head, I don't need any more excuses from you. I don't care if Karu died or not. Just return to me my treasure map and I will leave at once. I'm not interested in stirring up any trouble. Mu Sun became impatient. The treasure map is really not in my hand. Since you, the Mo family head, don't want to return that map, I have got nothing else to say. Mu Sun grunted and walked out, as he said coldly, though we, the Medicine Valley, don't get involved in the power struggles in various countries, we won't be bullied as you like. Mo family head, you'd better conduct yourself well. At once, Mu Sun walked down the tower directly with his people. Mr. Mu, you are welcome to visit the Shi family anytime. We understand everything you talked about. Shi Jin's voice came from his tower, the overtone of which could be understood by everyone. Walking down the Mo family building, Mu Sun looked over at Shi Jin and nodded. I believe we will have the opportunity to cooperate. Please don't turn me down if I ask for some help from the Shi family. I, Shi Jin, hate those who always play tricks. It would be an honor to work for Mr. Mu. Shi Jin laughed loudly and saluted with cupped hands. Thank you, Shi family head. Mu Sun nodded and glanced up coldly at Mo Tuo, who had an ugly face, and left the God's Stone Square with his people. On the God's Stone Square, the competitions had paused for a long while. Only after Mu Sun left did they continued. The competition this day became more interesting after Mu Sun's unexpected visit. Soon after Mu Sun left, people started discussing noisily and soon learnt the whole story. As a result, a hint of scorn and loathing could be seen amongst the crowd whenever the Mo family was mentioned. Many of those who had planned to associate with the Mo family changed their mind, and thus the Mo family lost numerous potential experts. Ku Luo, the manager of the Misty Pavilion, was also in the competition arena. He saw the conflict between Mu Sun and Mo Tuo. Before the competition ended, Ku Luo secretly left for the Misty Pavilion, which was not far from the Godstone Square. At dusk, in a secluded room in the Misty Pavilion, Ku Luo bowed and elaborated the whole story to Xia Xinyan. After Ku Luo finished his speech, Xia Xinyan frowned and thought for a while, then said, "If it is as Mu Sun says, then the other piece of the fragmented map must be in Mo Tuo's hands. I came here for the Sky Gate, so I don't care who I have to cooperate with. Ku Luo, go to the Mo family tonight, and tell them we can share the map with them and work together to explore the Sky Gate." "I understand." Ku Luo nodded. "Shura King Xiaohani will arrive in half a month, and you still haven't found the right guy. Hurry up," Xia Xinyan said casually. "I will try my best." Ku Luo was a little astonished as he replied in awe, "I've sent people to other cities to search. I believe we will find him soon." "Good. Off now." Xia Xinyan waved her hand casually. Ku Luo bowed away. That night, Ku Luo visited the Mo family alone, asking to meet Mo Tuo. Mo Tuo was too angry, but since Ku Luo came, he had to lift his spirit to meet him. After Ku Luo revealed his purpose, Mo Tuo shook his head with a bitter smile. "The treasure map is truly not in my hands. I can offer you nothing even if I want to cooperate with you. Mo family head, my master wants to work with you sincerely. To open the Sky Gate, we need the complete map. With our cooperation, we can take action at once. Please think about it." Ku Luo apparently didn't believe him as he turned serious. He guessed that Mo Tuo might already have a plan about the Misty Pavilion, so he got a little angry. "It is absolutely not in my hands. Don't believe Mu Sun." Mo Tuo didn't look happy either, so he talked in an unpleasant way. "Please leave now, Mr. Ku Luo. I have to prepare for the martial competition. Please excuse me." At midnight, Ku Luo went back to the Misty Pavilion and told what Mo Tuo said to Xia Xinyan. "There are two halves of the treasure map, one of which is in my hand. Since the Mo family don't want to cooperate, they must want to possess it alone. I guess the Mo family will take action soon." Xia Xinyan's eyes looked cool as she added, "I'm waiting for the Mo family to grab it. They would not cooperate with us honestly, therefore we must teach them a lesson." "Miss, how about we grab that map from the Mo family?" one of the huge men behind Xia Xinyan asked. A murderous aura came from that huge man, which frightened Ku Luo a lot. "Never mind, after all, this isn't our own home. Follow the rules. If all the 5 big families allied, it will be much more troublesome. However, when Shura King Xiaohani arrives and the Mo family still doesn't step back, we will take action." Xia Xinyan observed indifferently. "Okay." The huge man nodded, not saying any more. "Well, Ku Luo, go and do your business. You can send out the message secretly that I have the other half of the map, and I will wait for them." Xia Xinyan smiled. "Whoever comes to grab the map must have the other half. I got it." At deep night, at the Zuo family, Zuo Shi and Qi Xiao were discussing in a secret room in a low voice. Shadow has brought the message that the map isn't in Ku Luo's hand, but in another girl's hand in the Misty Pavilion. That girl popped up all of a sudden. No one knows who she is. Zuo Shi said, "Wait till the last day. I will go to the Misty Pavilion during the competition among the 5 big families. It's just a little girl. No big deal." Qi Xiao nodded and smiled bitterly. "It's so strange to fight against a little girl. Never mind, I will leave 1 or 2 pieces of treasure to her as compensation. But pay attention. Don't expose yourself. The map has been attracting so much attention that once you are exposed, it will be truly troublesome." "Okay." I got it. That night, in the secret rooms of the five families, many were discussing about what had happened in the daytime. In a secret room of the Shi family, holding an envelope, Shi Jian showed a weird smile as he said to Han Feng, who was beside him, Mu Sun is so quick that he sends a letter in one day. Hee. Now that Mu Sun is to take action against the Mo family, we need to do something to help him secretly, if not publicly. What does Mu Sun plan to do? He wants to kidnap some people of the Mo family and threaten Mo Tuo. Hee. His targets are just whom we want to give a lesson to. Shi Jian was very joyful, Brother Feng. Assign someone to follow them and spill their trails to Mu Sun. Haha, I'm excited to watch how Mo Tuo will react. That fragmented map from Karu was right against his chest, so no matter how, Mo Tuo couldn't return it to Mu Sun. Those Mo family hostages would die for sure. Imagining Mo Tuo's furious face, Shi Jian was very amused, as he said with a big smile, also, go and get me a jar of wine. I want to have a good drink. Family head. All the delicate wine has been drunk by young Master Yin. The rest is all ordinary wine. Han Feng lowered his head, as a shallow smile crossed his face. That little bastard. Shi Yin patted the armrest and cursed in laughter. That bastard is really audacious. How could he drink up my wine? I'm gonna rip his skin if he doesn't have a good performance in the martial competition. With his petrification martial spirit at the second stage, no warrior of the nascent realm could beat him. It's almost fact that young Master Yin will win the competition. Definitely. Well, that's true. Shi Jian laughed loudly in delight. Chapter 66, Fearless. Chapter 66, Fearless. *TL note. Skygate and Gate of Heaven have previously been used interchangeably. We will be sticking with Gate of Heaven from now on. It was now the fourth day of the martial competition. This day, all the warriors who came to participate were fiercely fighting for the top 3 places. Every rank's first 3 places would have a certain martial skill, secret treasure, or cultivation material as prizes. As long as you can place in the first 3, there's no way you would go home empty-handed. The 5 families were never stingy in giving prizes. They had prepared many profound level martial skills and secret treasures, as well as pills and cultivation materials that enhanced one's profound chi. On the morning of the 4th day, these lavish prizes were displayed on a round table in the middle of the arena, watched by specialized staff. The warriors were ecstatic upon seeing the prizes being displayed and were in full vigor to fight in the upcoming battles. By noontime, there were already 2 nascent realm warriors killed in the arena, and one at the human realm was crippled. According to the rules of the martial competition, when one side surrenders, the opposing party cannot continue the fight. Which was why, as long as one wasn't too greedy, took what could be managed, and give up when the situation wasn't favorable, one would definitely live. The few warriors who were heavily injured or killed were all thinking that they could still keep fighting. They tried to turn the situation around when they were obviously at a disadvantage. That was why they had such miserable outcomes. On the Shi family's stone tower, there was a smile at the corner of Shi Jian's lips as he looked down on the arenas from high above, occasionally glancing at the Mo family's tower. Every time he would see Mo Tuo with a dark expression, like his son died or something. In the past 3 days, many important figures in the Mo family had all mysteriously disappeared one by one. Mo Tuo was full of anger, but due to the critical time of martial competition, he couldn't act arbitrarily. He knew exactly who's been doing this, but there was nothing he could do. The experts of the Mo family could only secretly try to find traces of Mu Sun's group, but unfortunately, they couldn't even find Mu Sun's shadow. And Mu Sun didn't send messengers either, so there was no way to negotiate. Kid, tomorrow is the martial competition for the 5 families. After watching for 4 days, have you gained anything? Shi Jian was in a great mood. He peered at Shi Yin, who was at his side, and spoke casually. Gains? Shi Yin looked indifferent and nodded. I definitely gained some things, but I'm only watching, so there's only a little to actually gain. Instead, I would like to go on the battlefield myself and fight to the death. Only the things you comprehend on the verge of death can be considered the greatest riches. Shi Jian was dazed. He stared at Shi Yin, and after quite a while he finally asked in astonishment, "You little brat, you cultivated to the nascent realm in such a short time. Shouldn't you be lacking in battle experience? Why do I feel that you're already highly experienced? The insights on the verge of death are surely precious, but if you get killed, then all those insights would have been useless." Shi Yin grinned, but did not explain his words. "Oh!" Shi Jin suddenly exclaimed, his expression strange. He looked at the faraway tower of the Mo family. 200 meters away, in the tower of the Mo family, someone quietly whispered into Mo Tuo's ear. His face suddenly darkened to the extreme. Shockingly, he walked down the stone tower of the Mo family and walked straight towards the Shi family. On the Baiming family's stone tower, Baiming Shang also shortly received the news. He moaned, and then also walked down his stone tower and came towards the Shi family. In the arena, the warriors were still intensely battling. Many bystanders were confused by Baiming Shang and Mo Tuo, who were walking towards the stone tower of the Shi family, wondering why these two were heading over to the Shi family's tower. In a short moment, the angry-looking Mo Tuo got to the Shi family's tower first. Right after he climbed up the tower, Mo Tuo immediately sprung up and screamed, "Shi Jin, where is Mu Sun? I don't care what you think. If I can't find Mu Sun, then just wait and watch what happens tomorrow." Mu Tuo took a deep breath in, stopped talking, and walked downstairs. "Master Shi, you need to look at the big picture here," Baiming Shang said apathetically, as he shook his head and followed Mo Tuo down the stairs. Boom! Shi Jin punched the balcony of the stone tower, the rigid green iron receiving a huge, fist-shaped imprint from his punch. Even the whole stone tower, which was several meters tall, was shaking violently from the impact. Everyone from the Shi family who was standing on the tower clearly felt his rage. "They're going too far," Shi Jin growled. No one knew if he's talking about Mo Tuo or Baiming Shang. Because of this little episode, Shi Jin's face was scary the whole day. At the end of that day of the martial competition, when he had to present the gifts to the winners, his expression was still ugly. That night, in the secret room, Han Feng bowed toward Shi Jin and said, "Master, Mo Tuo and Baiming Shang are both giving us pressure now. What should we do?" "Don't worry about them," Shi Jin continued scowling. "Master, we can let Mo Tuo slide, but Baiming Shang," Han Feng said hesitantly. "Qi Xiao is still in the city. If Baiming Shang dares to mess with us, I'd go ahead and shamelessly ask Qi Xiao to help me. I do not think Baiming Shang would launch an attack on our family for that shitty Mo family." Shi Jin snorted. "Understood." Chapter 67. The Battle Among the Families. Chapter 67. The Battle Among the Families. The next day, Godstone Square. In the early morning, while the sky was still dimly lit, a number of different warriors in Tianyun City had already gathered in the arenas of the martial competition. In the center of the Godstone Square, on one side of the arena, which was 100 square meters across, were large blocks of green stone. These green stones were stacked higher as they moved away from the center of the arena, so it would be more convenient to watch the fighting in the arena. Before the five families even got here, the green stones around that one arena, especially made for the Battle of the Five Families, were already filled with crowds. Just as the sun rose, the warriors the five families started to arrive from all around Tianyun City. Shi Yin followed Shi Jin. Before they even got to Godstone Square, he could already see the massive crowds. These people were nearly all warriors, mostly in the elementary, nascent, or human realms, but there were some at the disaster or earth realms as well. These disaster and earth realm warriors might not have been interested in the martial competition, but the head-on fighting among the five families was enough to grab their attention. On the blocks of green stone around the arena, you could see many warriors whispering to each other. A lot of these warriors carried sturdy-looking heavy swords and battle axes. They could have been mercenaries who came from the dark forest. None of them showed up in the previous days, but today, they came bright and early. When the Shi family's people appeared in the Godstone Square, the warriors in the square started murmuring and made a path for the Shi family. The Shi family hadn't even entered the center of the arena yet, But again those warriors turned their heads to the entrance of the god's stone square and gasped in low voices. The Mo family, led by Mo Tuo, all came towards the arena with grim expressions. Shi Jian snorted. Scowling, he silently led the Shi family towards the arena. This time, the 5 families were not going to watch the fights from far away in their stone towers. Instead, they would stay at the nearest distance from the arena to be able to observe every single detail, as if visiting the front line. On each side of the arena, the stone balconies were already set for them. The person waiting there saw Shi Jian, and immediately they came up smiling. "Master Shi, please take your seat here." Shi Jian nodded, and he followed him to the side of the arena and sat on one of the stone chairs. Many different delicacies and fine wine were brought up on the stone table for Shi Jian and the Shi family members to enjoy. In a short moment, Mo Tuo was also lead here. His seat was arranged right across from the Shi family. After Mo Tuo sat down, he shot a freezing gaze towards the other side. No one knew what he was thinking about. When the sun's beams became a little brighter, the Zuo family and the Ling family also arrived. Right when Zuo Shi got here, his seat was arranged next to the Shi family. Zuo Shi sat down, then lightly nodded at Shi Jian, indicating that everything's going well with the Misty Pavilion, and they communicated in silence. The Ling family was friendly with the Mo family, so naturally they were arranged to be sat together. When Ling Xiaofeng got here, he even smiled while walking over to the Mo family's side, comforting the gloomy-looking Mo Chan, and found an opportunity to talk to Mo Yinyu. Mo Chaoga, who went missing, was Mo Zhan's father. Knowing that his father was taken, Mo Zhan had been containing his anger for a while, just waiting for his bloody revenge in the martial competition. When the sun rose high above the sky, Baiming Shang finally arrived with the masters of the Baiming family. Baiming Shang's expression was cold, and a freezing energy swirled around his body. Wherever he went, the warriors of the Merchant Union all respectfully made the path for him. Behind him was Baiming Su, who looked arrogant, followed by Mu Yu Dai and Di Yalan. The person arranging seats was a slave of the Baiming family, and upon seeing his master, he naturally gave him the best seat. Bowing, he invited Baiming Shang and Baiming Su to sit, then immediately called the servants to bring up the delicacies and fine wine. Both the quality and amount of the luxurious food was obviously better than the other 4 families. The superior position of the Baiming family in the Union was, as always, unobstructed. After the 5 families had taken their seats, Baiming Shang moaned, then said nonchalantly, "The rules are the same every year, and I'm not going to say much. The martial competition is only a way to communicate and learn from each other. I hope everyone can restrain themselves as much as possible. Hopefully no one gets killed." The heads of the other 4 families all lightly nodded. Baiming Shang looked around, his eyes gazed deeply at both Mo Tuo and Shi Jian, and said, "Like always, battle invitations are allowed. And you can also add more bets if you please. Now who's going first?" "You," Mo Tuo shouted. Mo Yinyu, who was standing in the group of Mo family members, walked down first, her eyes cold and chilling. Looking towards the direction of the Shi family, she said, "Mo family Mo Yinyu, nascent realm, second sky. Who is willing to enlighten me?" "Snowfall City, a silver sand mine. Here is the land title deed." Mo Tuo scowled and snorted. A dedicated warrior of the Mo family took the deed from his hand and put it on a round table in the arena next to the Baiming family. The round table was made for placing bets. Sunset City, the franchise of Dongguan Street. Shi Jian also snorted. He took 3 yellow sheets from his brocade pocket and passed it to the director next to him. When the 3 pages of yellow paper was also on the round table, Shi Jian said coldly, "Tianluo, go." Shi Tianluo shook for a moment, then he also walked to the arena and said with distinction, "Shi family Shi Tianluo, nascent realm, second sky, please enlighten me." Mo family's Mo Yinyu. Shi family Shi Tianluo. Both are at the second sky of the nascent realm. The 2 masters, have you made the decision to fight? The skinny director stood next to the round table and shouted out. When he saw both Shi Yin and Mo Tuo nodding, he then said, "All right, then the match starts." BZZ BZZ BZZ. Streaks of green lightning suddenly flowed out of Mo Yinyu's 10 fingers. Those lightning beams were like slithering snakes, slowly growing thicker in front of her. At this moment, Mo Yinyu seemed to be surrounded by lightning. Strands of green lightning that were as thin as a finger grew thicker and thicker, slowly becoming a 5-meter-long whip. After the lightning whips were condensed into shape, they were as thick as arms. The electric glow was blinding people's eyes, and strong electrical currents shot laser beams off everywhere. Snap, snap. Mo Yinyu cracked her whip, and the lightning whip was like a dragon made of electricity. Under the deafening sounds of thunder, she fiercely whipped towards Shi Tianluo. Bzz, bzz, bzz. The lightning lasered off into the air, making strange sounds, and streams of electricity flowed out. Many warriors' expressions froze, and instinctively they condensed their profound chi to defend themselves. Shi Tianluo's skin was already in an ash-gray color. The Shi family's petrification martial spirit was ready for battle. Seeing the oncoming lightning whip, Shi Tianluo's face looked serious. All of a sudden he shouted loudly, and a fierce force as strong as a mountain suddenly burst out from his body. Shi Tianluo was as still as a mountain. His legs looked as if they were pitched deep within the earth. After petrification, his physical defense was extraordinary, such that he fearlessly reached his hand out to grab the lightning whip that came at him. Bzz, bzz. Just when Shi Tianluo reached out his hand, the lightning whip wrapped around his left arm, and a shocking amount of electricity passed from the lightning whip and into Shi Tianluo's body. Arg! Shi Tianluo roared. The profound chi in his petrified body scoured around inside his body and quickly flowed into his left arm to restrain the electricity that was intruding into his body. Using the advantage of the petrification martial spirit, although Shi Tianluo's left hand was tingling and sore, he wasn't in that much of an unfavorable situation. After grabbing at the lightning whip, he ran towards Mo Yinyu. With great speed, and like a falling stone from the sky, he was filled with rapid momentum. The petrification martial spirit of the Shi family was best used for close combat. Once a Shi family member came to a close distance, that was when the opponent's nightmare starts. Unexpectedly, seeing that Shi Tianluo was fiercely approaching her, Mo Yinyu, who held the lightning whip in one hand, did not dodge. Instead, she revealed a strange expression on her pretty little face. In a mere second, Mo Yinyu's blushed face turned as pale as a sheet, like she was desperately sick, and all the blood rushed away from her face. And at this moment, the speed of her flowing profound chi within her body accelerated more than 3 times. It was as if all the potential in her body was suddenly released. This is bad. Shi Yin thought silently. His heart dropped. He knew that Shi Tianluo was most likely going to suffer this time. Mo Yinyu obviously only had a capability of a nascent realm, second sky warrior, but then her profound chi drastically changed inside her body, and now it was like she obtained some sort of power out of thin air that didn't belong to her. The profound chi in her body was much more vigorous than even that of a nascent realm, third sky warrior. This advantage meant she had no fear against Shi Tianluo's petrification martial spirit. Sure enough, just when Shi Tianluo stormed to Mo Yinyu's side, before he could strike any vigorous attacks, Mo Yinyu unleashed waves of. Each was as big as a full circle. It was over 3 times stronger than back when she shot it towards Shi Yin. Together 7 waves of burst from her other hand, so fast that Shi Tianluo had no time to dodge at all. Boom, 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 boom. 7 waves of, all directly hit straight onto Shi Tianluo's chest and blasted Shi Tianluo off into the air. The undeniable power of these 7 waves of was not something that the first stage of the petrification martial spirit could handle. When Shi Tianluo was still in midair, he was already bloody from head to toe. Thump! Shi Tianluo's body landed 3 meters in front of where Shi Jian was. Blood was gushing out his chest and his eyes were dilated. Clearly he was badly hurt. Go help him. Shi Jian's eyes looked like they were going to burst into flames. After he thundered in rage, his strong figure shook lightly. A few dedicated warriors from the Shi family who were preparing on the side rushed up and carried Shi Tianluo away. They quickly gave him medicines, hastily trying to heal him. Shi Tai dug his fingers into the stone chair. He sat there still, not moving an inch, but his eyes were full of immense hatred, staring at the faraway Mo2. Mo2 was also furious-looking. He exchanged stares with Shi Tai. Mo Yinyu wins. The Mo family wins the bet. We may continue to the next match. At this moment, the director's emotionless voice rang from the other side of the round table. Chapter 68, A Thorough Defeat. Chapter 68, A Thorough Defeat. This pretty girl is amazing. Yeah, she won without any effort even though she is at the same realm as him. Too nasty. That guy could have died several times if he didn't possess the petrification martial spirit. The competition among the 5 big families is really awesome. It is worth my long travel here. The arena was filled with boisterous discussions. The onlookers were all surprised at Mo Yinyu's ability. With a cold expression on her face, Mo Yinyu stood in the center of the field proudly, staring at the Shi family members with her frosty eyes, like a snow lotus on a snowy mountain. Those observing warriors also gazed at her hot body with sparkling eyes. They were surprised by her brutality but still couldn't stop complimenting her. On the Shi family side, everybody had a rigid face. Shi Tai was trembling with anger, but could do nothing except stare at Mo2 in hatred. This was the martial competition. The loser couldn't say anything about a public defeat. He could only win back his prestige in another battle. Family head, young Master Tian Luo is not heavily injured, but he won't be able to train his martial arts for 3 years. One minister of the Shi family came up from behind and said to Shi Jian and Shi Tai. Shi Jian and Shi Tai suddenly quivered at his message, with grief crossing their eyes. Grandpa, that woman is strange. Her strength surged halfway through. That's too weird. Shi Yin remarked in a low voice. I know. Shi Jian took a deep breath and turned to Shi Tianku and Shi Tianyun with hesitation. He had apparently noticed that as well. At the halfway point of the battle, Mo Yinyu's face suddenly turned pale, and it was at that moment the profound qi in Mo Yinyu's body became much more dense and circulated much faster, which was abnormal. You back. Mo qi, up. Just then, Mo2 demanded, we are not going to change the wager and invite a battle with the Shi family again. Another youth about 6 feet tall replaced Mo Yinyu at the center of the arena and said proudly, Mo Chi of the Mo family. Nascent realm, second sky. Please enlighten me. Big brother. Shi Tai yelled and looked at Shi Tianku who stood behind him with worried eyes. What should we do now? Fight. Shi Jian grit his teeth, thought for a while, and announced, Tianyun, up. All Shi family members were shocked at this and turned pale, as they looked at Shi Jian in confusion. Shi Tianyun was the most talented among the 3rd generation of Shi family, and was at the 3rd sky of the nascent realm. Thus everybody believed he would fight last. Now that Shi Jian had sent him up so early, who would fight in the following battles? Mo Zhan was of the 3rd generation of the Mo family, but he was not on the stage yet. No matter if Shi Tianyun won or lost this battle, he would lose the chance to fight against Mo Zhan. Who will be sent to fight against Mo Zhan later? If they couldn't find anyone to compete with Mo Zhan, everybody would think there were no promising descendants in the 3rd generation of the Shi family, which was a bigger shame than losing the competition. Big brother. Shi Tai cried. Mo Zhan hasn't been sent. It must be Tianyun. There is something strange going on, so we have to send Tianyun, who is 1 sky higher than him. Shi Jian stated with a frosty face. Shut up, Tianyun. Go. Yes. Tianyun replied firmly and directly stepped onto the arena. Shi Tianyun from the Shi family. Nascent realm, 3rd sky. Please enlighten me. Shi Tianyun. Isn't he the strongest in the 3rd generation of the Shi family? Exactly. Why did he appear so early when Mo Zhan is still not on stage? The Shi family is scared now. They have no choice but to send Shi Tianyun up to fight. Now it's getting interesting. One is at the 3rd sky of the nascent realm and the other is at the 2nd sky. 1 sky different. I guess the Mo family won't accept this fight. They will definitely change their warrior. Well, The Mo family won't buy it. The onlookers were all discussing among each other in astonishment. Many from the Baiming and Ling families were looking on with doubt in their eyes, staring at the Shi family with weird expressions. Even some faces from the Zuo family were filled with surprise, not knowing what Shi Jian was thinking. Only Zuo Shi and Zuo Shi knew what was going on. They stealthily looked over to Shi Yan. Beiluo City, one mine, and the commercial street in the south of Beiluo City. Shi Jian took a deep breath and pulled out all the documents from his bag and handed them to the director. Mo Qi from the Mo family, second sky of the nascent realm. Shi Tianyun from the Shi family, third sky of the nascent realm. Is it right? As the wagers put on the table, the director frowned at Shi Jian and Mo Tuo. Mo Tuo was a little confused as he glanced over at Shi Tianyun, not knowing why it was him who was sent. After hesitating, Mo Tuo had a small talk with an old man, a mussy-haired one who was standing beside him, and nodded softly. Seeing him nodding, Mo Tuo seemed to be relaxed, as he nodded at the coach. No problem. Our warriors of the second sky of the nascent realm can easily beat those of third sky of the nascent realm from the Shi family. We are in. Now, the battle begins. Shi Tianyun immediately petrified his body, while Mo Qi yelled once and lightning intertwined his arms. Mo Qi, prove yourself as soon as possible. Don't let others look down upon you. Mo Tuo reminded him indifferently. Hearing that, Mo Qi quickly understood what to do. In an instant, like Mo Yinyu, Mo Qi's face turned as pale as a zombie, which was extremely horrifying. It was exactly the same. In Mo Qi's body, the flow of his profound qi accelerated many times. A certain energy that didn't belong to him seemed to be triggered and invaded his entire body. His aura suddenly overwhelmed Shi Tianyun, who was one sky higher than him. There it goes. Shi Tai yelled in anger. They must have played a certain trick. This is not the type of power that could belong to a warrior of the second sky of the nascent realm. Shi Jian looked depressed as he nodded. Did you notice that? Mo Tuo had a talk with the old man behind him before he permitted the battle. Mo Yinyu and Mo Qi's weird change must have something to do with that old man. I won't let him go peacefully. Shi Tai gritted his teeth. Bang! Shi Tianyun kicked off the ground with one foot, and the solid metal stone made a thunderous sound as if it had been cracked. Shi Tianyun shot towards Mo Qi like a sharp sword at his fastest speed, intending to cripple Mo Qi as soon as possible. Mo Qi smiled coldly without fear, as he directly met Shi Tianyun, emitted flashes of lightning which flew towards him rapidly. As he released the lightning flashes, green balls of light burst out from the center of Mo Qi's palm. They began to strike Shi Tianyun heavily. Bang, bang, bang. Bang, bang, bang. One after another, green light balls struck Shi Tianyun and slowed his attacks. Just then, the profound qi in Mo Qi's body surged again. He appeared in front of Shi Tianyun suddenly from behind the green balls. The lightning flashes magically formed an electric net in the sky and wrapped up Shi Tianyun in an instant. How is that possible? The energy in that kid equals that of a human realm warrior. Shi Tai screamed in fear. Shi Tianyun was tightly entangled by the electric net. He struggled to escape it but failed. At this time, Mo Qi's green light balls kept striking Shi Tianyun one by one and drove him back. Mo Qi dashed near Shi Tianyun and kept striking him with his arms and legs. Shi Tianyun was bleeding severely from the corner of his mouth, but he couldn't fight back because of the electric net that bound him tightly. What a thorough defeat. Everybody was stricken dumb in amazement as they stared at Mo Qi, who was merely at the second sky of the nascent realm, while he was striking Shi Tianyun, who could not fight back. What the hell is that? Who knows? Why is that kid so powerful? It's weird, too weird. Is he really at the second sky of the nascent realm? Or are the nascent realm warriors of the big families one level higher than us? Confusing. Too confusing. All the warriors nearby were dumbstruck and couldn't figure out what happened. Bang, bang, bang. Bang, bang, bang. After receiving the endless strikes, Shi Tianyun was bleeding severely and his eyes gradually began to dim. Shi Jian stood up at once and demanded, We lose. The director from the Baiming family, who was standing next to the round table, immediately looked over to Baiming Shang after Shi Jian yelled. Baiming Shang seemed to not have noticed the scene on the battle arena, as he was still drinking his tea quietly. Seeing his attitude, the director understood what he meant. He lowered his head to check the documents, ignoring Shi Jian's announcement. Bang bang bang. Mo-chi continued to kick Shi Tianyun, as the latter had fallen onto the ground long ago. We admit defeat. Shi Jian stared at Baiming Shang and roared. Baiming Shang finally seemed to notice it, as he raised his head and then peered at the director casually. Battle stops. The Mo family wins. The director called out listlessly. Mo-chi finally stopped his attacks and took a few steps back. Smirking, he laughed. Huh. Shi family descendants are all losers. He is too weak for a nascent realm, third sky warrior. It was a total waste of my time. Humph. Then he swaggered back to his family and received a bunch of compliments. Han Feng rushed onto the arena silently like a ghost and carried Shi Tianyun back, who was drowning in his own blood, and asked those family ministers to check on him. Those ministers were in a muddle, as they firstly put a handful of pills into Shi Tianyun's mouth, with serious faces. Not bothering to stare at Mo Tuo, Shi Tai quickly pressed his hands on Shi Tianyun's chest and transmitted his profound qi into Tianyun to heal him. The battlefield turned silent at once. Those onlookers noticed this strange occurrence. They stopped gossiping, but looked at the two families in confusion. Keep the wager, and Jean, you go up, Mo Tuo announced at a low voice again, with a cold smile climbing up his mouth. Mo Jean from the Mo family. Nascent realm, third sky. Please enlighten me. Mo Jean's robust body stood in the center of the arena, and he sneered, I'm quite curious. Does your Shi family still have people to fight me? Do you dare? Chapter 69, Believe in Me. Chapter 69, Believe in Me. The whole God's stone square was silent. Mo Jean's clamoring seemed to echo in the arena. Shi Jian's face was in a grimace, and he was trembling in rage. He almost wanted to go to the middle of the arena and slap Mo Jean to death. The Baiming, Ling, Mo, and Zuo families all looked at Shi Jian. Many warriors around the arena were looking at Shi Jian in sympathy. At this point, everyone could see the vicious heart of the Mo family, and they also knew that they had definitely used some unusual means. However, that's what the martial competition was like. Each side would use their own methods, and as long as they're not strongly against the rules of the arena, no matter how tragically the loser turned out to be, no one would say a thing. Even if the Shi family were highly displeased, at that moment, there was nothing they could argue about. And the others, of course, would not step into such murky waters. At that moment, Han Feng suddenly came up from behind the people of the Shi family and passed a slip of paper to Shi Jian. He said, Master, someone told me to give this to you. Shi Jian was barely able to control his anger. As he took a glance at the note, his expression suddenly froze. The children from the Mo family have taken the blood vigor pill, made by the Poison Dragon Valley of the God-blessed Empire. The blood vigor pill allows one to increase their strength by twofold for a short period of time at the cost of being unable to use their martial powers for a whole year. It is best for you not to continue the following matches, or else you will still lose miserably. The old man standing next to Mo Jean is the alchemist Xie Shou from the Poisonous Dragon Valley. Sincerely, Mu Sun. Shi Jian looked at the words on the paper with a grim face. He finally knew what the Mo family had done. Just to deal with the Shi family, Mo Tuo had sacrificed a year of his grandchildren's cultivation. In turn, this caused Shi Tianluo and Shi Tianyun of the Shi family to be bedridden for at least 3 to 5 years. This method was ruthless to the extreme. Shi Jian's expression was gloomy. Looking at Shi Yan, he suddenly could not decide how to proceed. If Mu Sun didn't pass on this information, Shi Jian might have actually let Shi Yan enter the arena. But since now the truth was known, Shi Jian knew that Mo Jean must have also taken that blood vigor pill, and that now his abilities were enhanced for the upcoming battle. Knowing this, Shi Jian faltered. Mo Jean was already at the third sky of the nascent realm, but after taking the blood vulgar pill, he would have the ability of a human realm warrior. Human realm warriors could easily break the second stage of Shi Yan's petrification martial spirit. Shi Yan had only started cultivating recently, so Shi Jian naturally thought that Shi Yan lacked real battle experience. In this situation, Shi Yan could easily be crushed by his opponent. But Shi Yan had twin martial spirits. In a long run, he would definitely become as good as Bai Mingsu. He was the true future hope of the Shi family. If this battle led to Shi Yan losing miserably and suffering heavy injuries, not only would it slow down his path to success, the strike could probably devastate him forever. The more he weighed his options, the more hesitant Shi Jian felt. He almost had the thought to protect Shi Yan even if he were to be disgraced. Then, at this moment, Zuo Shi came slowly from the Zuo family's side, carrying a giant backpack. Zuo Shi's captivating figure caused unrest outside the arena. Many looked at Zuo Shi lasciviously, their eyes gazing towards her beautiful long legs. Soon, Zuo Shi arrived at the Shi family's place. She stood next to Shi Jian and put the backpack on the Shi family's table, saying quietly, "Grandpa Shi, my grandpa told me to bring the dragon turtle armor to you in the hope that you would win." Then, she turned her head and looked at Shi Yan, and spoke quietly, "Go for it." After that, Zuo Shi left the Shi family area and returned to the Zuo family. Even when she arrived back at the Zuo family, her beautiful eyes were still locked onto Shi Yan from across the arena. Everyone in the Shi family felt devastated. Not only those who didn't know about Shi Yan's situation, even those who were actually aware of Shi Yan's cultivation level were also pitying him. A warrior who just recently broke through to the third sky of the nascent realm versus one who heavily trained for 20 years and slowly came to this realm step by step. It's clear who was stronger. Besides, the Mo family obviously played dirty, so now the actual gap between the two was like a deep valley. Dragon turtle armor. When Shi Jian saw the armor, he was completely shocked. Even though his confidence was restored, he still hesitated a bit. Passing the paper slip to Shi Yan, he murmured, "Sigh, Grandpa doesn't know what to do either. You decide for yourself. If you think it's too hard, then just give up." When he said the words "give up," Shi Jian suddenly felt exhausted, as if he aged some years. Shi Yan still looked unconcerned with the recent surprising developments. He glanced at the paper slip, but didn't show any reaction. He was still calm as ever. He had already realized that the Mo family must have used some underhanded means. Before Shi Jian had even finished speaking, Shi Yan leapt off and appeared in the middle of the arena. He spoke lightly, "Shi Yan from the Shi family, nascent realm, third sky. Please enlighten me." A great disturbance stirred in the crowd. The silent arena suddenly became louder than the street markets. Many were in utter shock, puzzled, as they looked at Shi Yan. "Who's this kid? I've never heard of this guy in the Shi family." Right, he never showed up in any of the previous martial competitions. When did the Shi family get such a warrior? Shi Yan. I know. Isn't he that young master of the Shi family who loves to study ancient texts? This guy never practiced martial arts. I only know him because he always caused trouble. No way. He has never cultivated in martial arts, but still is at the third sky of the nascent realm? Who knows? But even if he is at the third sky of the nascent realm, what can he do? You saw what happened when Mo Qi, who's only at the second sky of the nascent realm, went against Shi Tianyun, who was at the third sky of the nascent realm. About that Shi Yin guy, maybe it's only because Shi Jian doesn't want to be embarrassed, so he sent him out to die. Yeah, sigh, poor guy, being sacrificed like that. Around the arena, the sounds of gossip rose everywhere. Not a single warrior felt optimistic about Shi Yan. After knowing his true identity, they all thought Shi Jian had only let him go up out of frustration. The outcome was already decided. On the Baiming family's side, Baiming Shang also furrowed his brows slightly. He turned his head to a dedicated warrior on the side. What's the deal with Shi Yan? Why was there no news about him? When did the Shi family get another nascent realm, third sky kid? Did he appear out of thin air? Master, I didn't know either. Since a young age, Shi Yan didn't have the Shi family's martial spirit, so we didn't spend much effort observing him. Who knew that he suddenly? A little strange. Baiming Shang nodded. He frowned and asked no more. Biming Su was dazed for a second, as a flash of surprise gleamed in his eyes. He stared at Shi Yin for a while, then suddenly realized, hey, isn't that the kid who was drinking with Han Zhong in the spring pavilion a few days back? Mu Yudai and Di Yalan also remembered and lightly nodded at the same time. From far away, Di Yalan stared at Shi Yin, who was talked about by many people in the arena. Her expression was a little strange, and with a low voice she said, "It's him? He's definitely gonna die." Biming Su shook his head, unconcerned. No matter how amazing his luck was before, this time, against Emojan, he'll be crippled, if not killed. Emo too, also dazed out for a second, then he sneered, "I don't care where this little bastard came from, but we'll never see him again." "Shi Yin, take that thing." Shi Jin shouted while grimacing. He pointed at the dragon turtle armor brought by Zuo Shi and hinted at him. "Don't need it." Shi Yin glimpsed over at Shi Jin and shook his head. Then he smiled at Emojan. "At the spring pavilion, I told you we'd meet again. Now do you know who I am?" "I know." Emojan laughed arrogantly. "You're just someone who came here to die." Haha, the Shi family really has nobody now. Sending out a guy who researches ancient texts. Ha ha ha, I'm gonna laugh to the death. Shi Yin didn't show any anger. He looked indifferent and stood in the arena waiting. Ahem, head of the Shi family, you can put out your bet now. The director standing at the round table shouted out. Master, master, master. At the Shi family tower, many of the dedicated warriors shouted, clearly indicating their displeasure. All of them had heard about Shi Yin. Even if he had somehow reached the third sky of the nascent realm, everyone believed that it was for naught, and that Shi Yin would lose miserably. If Shi family lost the fight again, not only would they be crushed in the competition, they would also lose their high-value bets, the repercussion of which would last forever. Brother, you must not. Shi Tai advised Shi Tian strongly, still injecting his profound qi into Tian Yun. Brother, it's not worth that little bit of pride. Tian Luo and Tian Yun have already lost. You can't bring Shi Yin in too. Just let it go, brother. Shi Yin could clearly hear all the chatter behind him. Groaning, he looked back at Shi Jin and said calmly, Grandpa, believe in me. Okay. Shi Jin, who was hesitating over his choices, looked at Shi Yan's confident expression. And for some reason, he actually did choose to believe in him. He suddenly roared, Phoenix City, our family bets the authority to the whole city. If the Mo family wins, our family will cede the authority for Phoenix City immediately. This led to another great disturbance in the crowd. Everyone started gossiping and chatting again. Phoenix City was a big city in the Merchant Union, and the Shi family had been holding the authority to the city for decades. Now Phoenix City had been branded with the Shi family's name. It could be said that Phoenix City was where the Shi family's influence was deepest. Now Shi Jin was putting up the authority for Phoenix City as a bet. Was he going insane? Big brother. Master. Everyone in the Shi family were on their feet as they looked at Shi Jin in disbelief. All of them started requesting Shi Jin to take back the bet vehemently. Stop trying to persuade me. My mind is set. Shi Jin's stubbornness was back, and with a straight face, he sneered, It's either make or break. I will take the risk this time. Everyone in the Biming family and the Ling family were also stunned. Clearly they didn't understand either. Zuo Shi dazed for a moment, then sighed and said quietly, Now there's no turning back for Brother Shi. Okay. Mo Tua suddenly stood up and shouted loudly, You can't take this back now. Take it. Shi Jin took the deeds from his personal pocket and passed it to the director who came towards him. Then he shouted coldly, Mo Tua, your little bet is not enough. I will add 3 more mines. Mo Tua scowled, then sneered, It's a sure win match. Doesn't matter how much more I add. After all, it will still belong to the Mo family in the end. Soon, the director took the bet from the Mo family up to the round table, then suddenly roared, The match starts. Chapter 70. The Focus of Attention. Chapter 70. The Focus of Attention. Let the battle begin. The referee's announcement officially started the much-anticipated battle. Emojan was wearing a cold and arrogant smile. In an instant, streams of electricity came out of his body, materializing into electric snakes. Those electric snakes intertwined around Emojan's whole body, which made him look dazzling. Emojan, a warrior of the third sky of the nascent realm, stood in the battle arena with pride, while electric snakes were circling all over his body. His lightning martial spirit was apparently way more powerful than Emo Yinyu's and Emo Chi's. As his face gradually turned pale, those electric snakes kept twisting around his body, looking hideous and seemingly wanting to eat people. The petrification martial spirit of the Shi family is said to be the king of close-range battle in the Merchant Union. Hee, I will give you a chance. Come near me and fight. Emojan stood still and burst into laughter with arrogance and pride filling his face, not caring about Shi Yin a bit. That guy is way too arrogant. Well, he is in the position to be arrogant. The lightning martial spirit of his is way stronger than that Emo Chi's. The result is quite clear now. Exactly, the Shi family will have a nasty failure for sure. Around the battle arena, the warriors standing on the high green stone building were all shaking their heads as no one anticipated that Shi Yin could beat Emojan. Even on the Shi family's side, everybody was in bad mood, sighing with disappointment. Well, with his usual indifference, Shi Yin strode towards Emojan at a leisurely pace, as though he thought nothing of him. While walking, his body petrified gradually and his skin grew gray. Before he came into the battle arena, Shi Yin had wiped a certain powder all over his body. That powder did nothing but change the color of his martial spirit so that it looked gray even though his petrification martial spirit had already reached the second stage. Shi Yin did this as he wanted to avoid anyone thinking they were cheating. After all, it was a known fact that a nascent realm warrior couldn't reach the second stage of the petrification martial spirit. Kid, you were really something in the spring pavilion. I hope you can be as sharp as you were then. Emojan smiled coldly with his pale face, as he stood still and waited for Shi Yin to approach. Sharp or not, you will know soon enough. Shi Yin shook his head with a smile. As he replied, he was within 3 meters of Emojan. Humph. Suddenly, Emojan yelled in a low voice, and the electric snakes coiling around his body came to life. Those electric snakes flew out and dashed towards Shi Yin in a second. Damn! Shi Tai cried in fear. There they go. Dodge. Shi Yang couldn't help but cry out. Hiss, hiss, hiss. The electric snakes were as thick as thumbs and separated at once as if they were alive, entangling Shi Yin from all directions, not leaving any gaps. Ignoring the cries of the Shi family, the electric snakes wrapped Shi Yin up tightly in an instant. Bad. Shi Tai's eyes were full of fear, as he sighed with pain. How stupid is this kid? He didn't even dodge, even when he knows how Tianyun lost. Now he is repeating the same tragedy. It's done. Not surprising. Yeah, this guy studies ancient language. Stupid. There is no suspense. I guess he won't even have the slightest chance to fight back. Around the battle arena, those warriors were all feeling sorry for Shi Yin, as they shook their heads in sorrow, seeming to know the result. It turned out just as everybody assumed. Emojan seized this opportunity and rushed up to Shi Yin. With a in his left hand and a in his right hand, he struck his opponent who was entangled tightly by electric snakes. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. The yin were shooting like a hail and covered Shi Yin in an instant. Under Emojan's intense attacks, nobody could clearly see Shi Yin who was buried under the lightning, and they simply guessed he would lose for sure. One after another electric slashes flashed with green light, and the audience saw the arena clearly again. Shi Yin was still standing there and hadn't moved. He was not hurt in the slightest and smoke was coming from his coat. What happened? It can't be true. As the green light dissipated and the warriors saw Shi Yin clearly, they couldn't help but rub their eyes, surprised by Shi Yin who was still standing in the arena like a mountain. Bai Mingshang also raised his head from his teacup and looked at Shi Yin in astonishment. He frowned and mumbled, "Weird." Emo Tuo's expression changed, but he still kept calm and just grunted once. Shi Jin's body quivered once and a bright light crossed his eyes. After taking a deep breath, he pressed one of his hands to the stone stool and became excited. Big brother. Family head. Shi Tai and the Shi family warriors looked to Shi Jin at the same time, with joy and confusion on their faces. Keep on, Shi Jin yelled, as his mouth trembled a bit. Though still feeling confused after what they heard, Shi Tai and those ministers of the Shi family got a little expectation of Shi Yin. In the arena, Shi Yin was still entangled by the electric snakes, but apart from a little numbness after using his petrification ability, he felt nothing else, as he still maintained an indifferent expression on his face. Wisps of thin smoke gushed out from his arms which soon covered the electricity from those snakes, thus no one could see the change in his arms. While he was being struck heavily, his negative energy had mingled with his profound chi and gushed out from his arms, turning into 5 small swirls which floated around him. These swirls created by the combined these 2 types of energy, which slowly floated behind Emojan. The swirls were invisible to anyone. Apart from Shi Yin, in this huge battlefield, only a human realm warrior like Bai Mingshang could sense it. Emojan, you are so weak. Under the gaze of the audience, Shi Yin broadened his mouth as he laughed and smirked. You can't even hurt me when I stood there and didn't fight back. How did the Mo family become one of the 5 big families in the Merchant Union with skills like yours? Kid, you are seeking death. Emojan's face changed suddenly and became even paler. He dashed over with a stern face toward Shi Yin, and just as Emochi kicked Shi Tianyun, he began to kick Shi Yin like crazy. Boom boom boom. Bang bang bang. Emojan's heart attacks dropped upon Shi Yin, while the arena was filled with green light and strong profound chi began to spill everywhere. Still weak. Emojan, are you a girl? Under Emojan's attacks, Shi Yin was unmovable like a mountain and couldn't stop shaking his head, ridiculing him with crueler and crueler words. If you don't have a thing down there, I can help you satisfy your wife on your wedding day, in case that you make a fool of yourself. That was too wicked. Ling Yu from the Ling family suddenly stood up and cursed in a flirtatious tone. Shi Yin, you will die a miserable death. I want you to die. Emojan howled and triggered all his potential at once. He jumped towards Shi Yin and started sending out another rain of punches. Bang! However, Shi Yin simply stretched one leg and kicked Emojan in the chest. That kick, by his sole free leg, sent Emojan 5 meters away. Boring. Shi Yin grunted in disappointment as he got rid of the electric snakes. Those electric snakes, which were crawling all over him, broke away inch by inch. The shattered electric sparks dispersed all around the arena. Be careful. Damn it. The warriors nearest to the arena shouted and hurried to operate their profound chi to defend against those electric sparks. Good boy. Zuo Shi patted the arm of his chair and praised, I like this guy. Zuo Shi's bright eyes were shining with an odd light as she nodded at Shi Yin and smiled. Well, this guy is really mean. Big brother. Family head. What is going on here? On the other side, Shi Tai and the Shi family ministers all looked to Shi Jin in surprise. It's fine. It's just that the Mo family is too weak. Shi Jin responded briefly, following Shi Yan's directions. Suddenly the feeling in the air had become fresh. Mo Tuo stood up with a green face. He stared at Emojan and his breathing became heavier and heavier. Those eyes, I have seen them somewhere. On the side of the Baiming family, Di Yalan showed a little suspicion on her face, and she murmured after a long deliberation. But at that time, no one paid attention to her murmurs. Instead, everybody was setting their eyes upon Shi Yin and following his movements. After getting rid of the electric snakes, Shi Yin started strolling towards Emojan. Emojan lifted himself up from the ground and rushed towards Shi Yin in a rage. At that moment, Emojan's body began to twist strangely as willow flowers fluttered in the air. Something invisible had entangled him tightly. The harder he struggled, the stranger the way he swayed. At last, he floated up into the air. There seemed to be an invisible wicked hand behind him that had grabbed his neck and lifted him up. What happened? I don't know. What's wrong with Emojan? Is he out of his mind? Who knows what's going on? Why is Emojan floating in the air? Is he at the sky realm? Do you even think it's possible? The arena burst into clamor at once. Shi Yin came near Emojan with an indifferent face and slowly stretched out his hand. His fingers stabbed into Emojan's knee like 5 sharp spears. Crack, crack. The clear sounds of bones breaking came from Emojan's knees. Crack, crack. Another 2 similar noises came from his shoulders. Pa! Emojan was totally freaking out in front of Shi Yin. He couldn't help but fall on his knees. Not a single bone in his joints were connected. Pathetically kneeling in front of Shi Yin in front of such a huge crowd made him roar insanely, "Shi Yin, I am gonna kill you. Kill you." Oh, really? Shi Yin looked cool as he grabbed Emojan's neck and lifted him high up in the air again. Emojan tried his electric skill on Shi Yin, but it had no effect. In front of hundreds of eyes, Emojan was lifted up by Shi Yin single-handedly. It was a deliberate insult. Shi Yin intended to show Emojan's expression to everybody, for he circled the arena, so that every warrior present could see the grief and fear on Emojan's face. After one circle, Shi Yin turned his eyes towards Shi Jin and sent the message, to kill or not. The arena quietened down suddenly, and all the warriors gazed at Shi Yin. Tens of meters away, Shi Jin got Shi Yan's message and was quite delighted. Under Shi Yan's gaze, Shi Jin nodded softly with a rigid face. We give up. Emo2O was shocked and he cried miserably after he saw Shi Jin's cold eyes. We lose. We lose. Stop. The referee at the round table announced immediately. Crack. Another clear sound came from Emojan's neck, and his head flapped down in an odd way. All the warriors were horrified. They looked at Shi Yin, who had just shattered Emojan's neck, in quiet astonishment. It was extremely silent in the arena. Under everybody's gaze, Shi Yin tossed away Emojan's body indifferently. Pa! Emojan's dead body landed 3 meters in front of Emo2O, with his head strangely twisted. Sneering at the Emo family, Shi Yin returned to the Shi family tower, and without any care, and took his seat. All the people in the arena were totally focused in her direction, completely forgetting Emo2O and Shi Jin's fight. In the blazing hot sunlight, the woman with the perfect body raised her hands in midair. Suddenly, an enormous radiant hand emerged from the sky and violently smashed down like a mountain. Under that gigantic hand, a black dot was forming, which was slowly increasing in size. Gradually, that black dot formed into the silhouette of a person. The godlike giant hand, spreading over hundreds of meters, smashed down on the ground with immense force. The silhouette of the person formed from that black dot suddenly warped and disappeared into streams of dark light. Boom! The enormous hand completely destroyed the 3 20-meter-high misty pavilion towers. The rigid green iron towers became metal scraps, flying everywhere. The woman in the black crepe and bamboo hat stood in the air above the ruin of the misty pavilion for a moment, and then flew towards the arena. In merely a few seconds, she arrived above the arena, condescendingly looking at the crowd below. With her angel-like voice, she said, "Half of the map is on my hands. Emo family head, if you really want it, just come and take it up front. No need to play tricks in the dark." Our Emo family didn't do it. Emo2O looked up at her and roared, but there was a flash of surprise in his eyes. Emo2O was only at the 3rd sky of the Nirvana realm, but this woman could walk in mid-air, which was a trait of sky realm warriors. How could Emo2O not be afraid? Miss? 2 giant men pushed their way among the crowd and immediately appeared outside the arena. In mid-air, the floating goddess-like woman pointed at Emo2O and commanded, "Teach him a little lesson." "Yes, miss." The 2 giant men roared as their muscles suddenly bulged. They were already 2 meters tall, but instantly grew by some centimeters while exerting power, with dark thick hair suddenly growing on their bodies. In a flash, the 2 men turned into what looked like rabid beasts, their eyes filled with a bloodthirsty and murderous look. The two giant men suddenly dashed out, the strong green iron rubble exploding into pieces everywhere they went. Who are you? This is the Merchant Union's arena. We will not allow you to cause trouble here. Bai Mingshang suddenly roared into the heavens, frigid air seeping from him. Howling, Bai Mingshang also flew into the air. Balls of strange blue flames flew from his body. Those flames shortly condensed into blue fire clouds. These icy clouds, along with the power to freeze the heaven and earth, shot towards the woman. Bai Mingshang, is it? The woman's voice was still sweet as she said indifferently, the Misty Pavilion's business has nothing to do with you. Your Baiming family can act like an overlord in the Merchant Union, but in the Endless Sea, you would not even be a third-rate family. You better know your place. Arrogant. Bai Mingshang raised himself into midair and stood across from the woman, his face as cold as glacier. He sneered, I would like to see exactly how capable you are, since you dare to bluster with your wild arrogance. The cloud-like surged towards the woman like tides. The woman snorted as she suddenly rose up and disappeared into the mass of clouds. After a long moment her voice rang out, Come and fight up here. Don't harm the innocent. All right, Bai Mingshang shouted, his body also shooting high above the sky, and disappeared in the clouds. Thundering roars came from the heavens, as if it was the end of the world. Everyone in the arena knew that Bai Mingshang had started fighting with the mysterious woman, but sadly, no one could see this fight. Boom, boom, boom. The two towering men had, by then, surrounded Mo Tuo and ruthlessly started beating him. These two big men were like iron giants, their bodies extremely sturdy. They weren't afraid of the arm's thick strands of lightning and kept bombarding Mo Tuo in the midst of the lightning strikes. Strikes of lightning flew in the sky like an electrical dragon. The lightning came from Mo Tuo, 15 strands in total, and they formed a closely knit electrical web, charging at the towering giant men. Mo Tuo, give up the treasure map, or else don't blame me for attacking the Mo family members. Mu Sun's voice came from a corner of the arena. He had brought a group of masters from the Medicine Valley and walked towards Mo Tuo step by step, his expression grim. Mu Sun, the treasure map isn't with the Mo family. Release Chaoga now, or else you're not going to walk out of Tianyun City alive. Mo Tuo was furious. Even under the joined forces of the two giant men, he could still give out threats. All right then, you forced me to do this. Mu Sun's voice was cold, and he said to the Medicine Valley masters beside him, kill everyone in the Mo family. Then Mu Sun also sprinted out, his body like a beam of light. He joined the forces of the two giant men and bombarded Mo Tuo. Pop, pop, pop. Boom, boom, boom. The electrical dragon moved around in the sky. The two towering giant men were like monstrous beasts. One of them grabbed two millstone-sized green iron pieces, and whenever he got near Mo Tuo, he would throw the 1,000-gene piece of green iron at Mo Tuo. TL note, a gene is a little more than a pound. In a short moment, the whole arena was filled with lightning and flying stones. Fire spread everywhere, and silver lights scurried around. In the crowd, those that were struck by the electric dragon turned into a crisp, while those that were struck by the stones turned into a pulp. The fight among these masters had turned everything into chaos. Many of the warriors cursed, shrieked, and roared as they all tried to get out of the way. Those with low capability simply escaped the Godstone Square in a panic, afraid to stay and watch the show. The masters from Medicine Valley took advantage of the situation and stormed towards the Mo family, attacking its descendants and warriors. However, the Mo family's descendants and warriors were undaunted. They weren't afraid of the Medicine Valley's attacks and firmly suppressed those that came at them. Now Shi Jin actually seemed like an outsider. In the arena, he watched the Mo family suffer in surprise, but inside, he was as delighted as ever. Grandpa, do it now. Shi Jin stepped forward and said firmly. Do it now? Shi Jin froze, then furrowed his brows. You mean? Mo Zhan is dead. Mo Tuo will surely seek vengeance. Rather than letting the Mo family recover and strike us, why not take advantage of their weakness? You can cooperate with Mu Sun and those two to kill Mo Tuo, while we will hunt down the second and third generations of the Mo family. It's best if we completely cripple the entire Mo family today, so they would never have a chance of revenge. Shi Yin said cruelly. Big brother, Shi Yin is right. Mo Zhan is already dead, and Mo Chaoga is probably not going to live either. At this point, we should just screw it all and do it. Screw the martial competition. Take out the Mo family first. Shi Tai came up and growled. Shi Tian Luo and Shi Tian Yun were both heavily injured, still laying on the ground. He had already suppressed his anger, but now that the perfect chance was here, Shi Tai couldn't hold himself back anymore. Han Feng was also here, and he nodded at Shi Jian. Baiming Shang is kept busy right now, so the Baiming family has no one in charge. Without his permission, no one in the Baiming family would help the Mo family. This is a golden opportunity. If we miss this chance, we'll never get it again. Shi Yin gave in another word of encouragement and said, Grandpa, you guys kill Mo Tuo, and I will take care of Mo Qi and Mo Yinyu, who severely wounded Brother Tian Luo and Brother Tian Yun. We can entirely destroy the Mo family bloodline. Kid, you sure are ruthless enough. Shi Tai smacked Shi Yin, and before Shi Jin agreed, he rushed out and shouted, Mo Tuo, you old dog, today you will die for sure. Once Shi Tai exited, Shi Jin stopped hesitating and said to Han Feng, Idiot, protect Shi Yin. Then he also stormed out and roared, Mo Tuo, it's time to settle it between us. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.